spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The biggest U-turn of the government yet as the Chancellor reverses her controversial winter fuel cuts.
Today I can announce that this winter 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
Well, all pensioners earning over £35,000 will receive payments from next winter.
But who will foot the £1.25 billion bill?
Civil unrest in Los Angeles. Donald Trump sends 2,000 more National Guards to the front line, and he hits out at California's governor, Gavin Newsom.
A competent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states, and if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it.
Greta goes home. Greta Thunberg and her fellow activists arrive at Ben Gurion Airport in Israel ahead of being deported.
King Charles visits Lancaster Castle, but not everyone is so welcoming.
Outside, a small number of protesters from Republic, which campaigns for an elected head of state, wanted their voices heard.
Northern Irish farmers are going to descend on Stormont today to protest against new environmental rules protecting Lough Neagh, but it's wreaking havoc on the farming industry.
Residents of York are up in arms after the council raised the hourly cost of parking by 500%. Find out just how much it costs later.
Are we lazy about learning foreign languages? That's the debate this morning after authorities in Venice have banned merchants from speaking English. They speak lots of languages, but Italian.
I'll be doing the sport in various languages throughout the morning, and I'm going to start with English. It's a special treat. Wales come back from 3 down against Belgium to get to 3-3, but eventually lose 4-3 in a thriller in Brussels. Thomas Frank is now on the verge of becoming the new Spurs manager, and in tennis, the new British doubles power couple is Baltikanu.
A brighter day in the north today, a dull day across parts of the south. Over the next few days, though, for all of us, the temperatures and the humidity will be rising. Join me later for a full forecast.
But joining us right now, you're very welcome, whoever you're watching, whoever you're listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
When I give this up, I'm going to become a media trainer because they're obviously so rubbish everywhere, and they train the government. They train people like Rachel Reeves. Rachel Reeves comes out, and if she speaks tough, then we think she is tough and that she doesn't make any mistakes.
Never makes mistakes.
But goodness me, what a farce. Instead of just coming out and saying, you know, I botched this up, I messed this up, and I see you can understand, we understand you weren't happy about this, so we're turning this winter fuel thing back on itself. But no, the economy is much stronger. Is it? Is it? And where are you going to pay for all this? How are you going to pay for all of this?
And by what metric is the economy stronger?
But anyway, you get the media trainer who comes out and says, just act like a chancellor. Be iron-fisted about it all. Just say it. Make it so.
Throw in a few gags every now and again.
Every
Have a
now
little
and again.
smile.
Do you know what it is, Paul? Humility is a great
Yeah.
thing. I think people will be very forgiving if they say, look, we thought this was a way of raising money. We had to raise money. We were in dire financial straits, and I got this wrong.
See, there's a way, isn't there? It's almost like it's the rule. It's the political rule, and this is how politicians speak, and this is how it has to be.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to be. And then you think, well, what do I like about people? If I like people, I like people that are normal. I like someone that is actually going to admit sometimes when they're wrong. If you have someone that you meet and always they're like, well, this is it, I'm not going to change my mind. You think, honestly, I don't like this person very much.
No.
So surely to like someone and get something up there, then you can
got to
get to
realise
trust
they're
someone.
human.
Which is how I feel about you.
But then I think that we in the media have a lot to blame for this. You know, so say sorry. It's saying here. I mean, but she's so robotic. Oh, it's awful. And then what about those Egypts that are up protesting about the king?
Yeah.
You know, have you got sod all else to do? Do you wake up on a Monday morning or whatever and decide, I'm going to protest about the king. He gets up my nose.
I think they basically follow him around. I mean, wherever Cameron Walker is with the King, Republic are there.
Why? Who cares?
Is it the same ones?
Yeah, well,
or is it just different groups from different areas?
Yeah, it's the same bunch.
He sees them. Oh, yeah, they are again.
Ditch the duchies, not my king.
Maybe they're on a rota system. I'm not sure.
Who cares?
Pass the duchy on the left-hand side, all that stuff.
What does that even mean?
That was musical youth, wasn't it?
What does it mean? Pass the duchy on the left-hand side.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. It's because originally it was past something else, and they thought, well, these are musical youth. They can't really pass that, which is something that was being smoked.
You know
so
everything.
they turned it into duchy, which is a jug. They're used to them in the Caribbean. So that's.
Okay.
How do I know that? I have no.
You're like an encyclopedia of
An
knowledge.
encyclopedia of useless knowledge, which is no good to anybody.
But then we learn.
Bless you.
And every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day, as it were. Well, there we go. The Chancellor is ridiculed after U-turning on one of her first decisions, and that was to cut the winter fuel payments for the majority of pensioners.
Well, pensioners in England and Wales will now have their £300 payments reinstated as long as they earn less than £35,000 a year.
So Rachel Reeves turned the blame on what her party inherited from the previous government when she spoke yesterday.
We had to make difficult decisions last year. The public finances were in a total mess when I became Chancellor last summer, and we had to take immediate action to get control and get a grip of the public finances. We have been able to do that. We've returned stability to the economy. In the first quarter of this year, our economy was the fastest growing in all of the G7, which now means we're able to make different choices. And that's why today I can announce that this winter, 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
And where are you getting the money from that, Chancellor? Well, I won't really say that, but I'll speak tough. And I'll speak tough, and therefore people think I am tough. The key question is, where will the money come from? It's £1.25 billion
Exactly that.
should be looking for.
Well, let's get the thoughts now of journalist and broadcaster Mike Parry. Good to see you this morning, Mike. And the papers are very unforgiving this morning. Looking at the Daily Mail, deluded, the Metro, humiliating, and the Sun, it was fuelish. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, those headlines all exactly describe the pickle that the Chancellor Rachel Reeves has found herself in. I mean, historically, what happened here was when they got in, the economy was in good shape and it was at the top of the G7 league. You know, the Tories had actually made progress in growth in the economy. But when Rachel Reeves got in, this amazing £22 billion black hole suddenly appeared. Even the OBR, who, you know, usually are very favourable to Labour government, questioned it and said, we're not sure where that is. But Rachel Reeves sat down with her advisers and decided to make the world think that I'm an iron chancellor and that I can take the hard decisions. We've got to announce a cut in public spending. Now, she could have announced a cut in public spending in the massive welfare bill. She could actually have said, I tell you what, I'm not going to give train drivers a rise to make their salary $70,000 a year. I'm not going to give the doctors what they wanted. But no, that would have promoted fury from all the traditional supporters on the Labour side, all the trade unionists and all the left-wing backbenchers. So what she did was she decided with her advisers to pick on the people who could least protect themselves, who could least fight back, and they were the pensioners, OK? And she never saw it as a political problem. She saw it as an opportunistic problem because pensioners don't go out in the streets and hold up placards. Pensioners can't go on strike like train drivers can. So she thought, this is absolutely perfect.
Right.
She didn't realise the massive political damage because in this country, we are a very caring country. And even if you weren't a pensioner, losing your £300 winter fuel allowance, you had children and even grandchildren who were very, very concerned for you. It was a wicked and nasty policy. It was ill thought through. And the leader of the House of Commons, Lucy Powell, a few weeks later had to justify it by saying, oh, well, there would have been a run on the pound. What utter nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense.
All right. But does she deserve any credit at all? I mean, she's not saying sorry. She just talks tough and sounds stupid. But, you know, we the media, we the press, and asking for say sorry. Should we not back off and say to her, well done, you listened to the pressure, you listened to common sense, and you did something about it. We applaud that.
No, she's not going to say sorry because that'd be too humiliating. And remember, politically, she's welded to Keir Starmer. You know, her future prospects are largely alongside his. So I don't think he's going to sack his Chancellor, even though she's made a complete fiasco of it. But she should say sorry, because at least she'd get a bit of respect for that. But she's made an absolute clown of herself by claiming that because I've so improved the economy. Improved the economy? Does the economy look like it's improved? Businesses are closing down, pubs are closing down, people are being thrown out of work. That doesn't look like improvement to me.
Well, if she's improved it, none of us have noticed.
The only thing she's improved is the length of the dole queues and that sort of thing. But it's a complete and utter fiasco.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Does talking tough make you a good Chancellor? Have you got to be seen as an iron Chancellor?
Well, the problem is, if you talk tough and your policies actually work. Nigel Lawson was the greatest Chancellor we've had in post-war years to me. He did things very slowly. When he first got in as Chancellor, it took him 4 years to get the top rate of tax in this country down from 80 pence in the pound, which it was under the previous Labour government, to 40 pence in the pound. And that meant we had the biggest booming economy in Europe because he did it, in the world, actually, because he did it properly. Rachel Reeves hasn't got a clue what she's doing. First thing she did was give all that money to the train drivers and to the doctors, OK? She said, I've got a £22 billion black hole. She didn't have a black hole of any consequence. Even the OBR said that. One of the reasons they did it was to try and impress the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, because, of course, Keir Starmer is an internationalist. He believes that foreign courts and foreign bodies should have a claim in England. He was trying to impress them. But it's now such a fiasco, it's going to plunge us into doom and gloom because the Pensioners now might get their money, but they will never forget the way they were targeted, like they target the middle classes. We're all going to have to pay now for this, you know.
They'll never forget. You come back in about 45 minutes' time and listen to what folk are saying about this. Just another thing. What do you think about these guys that go around protesting about the king? Not my king.
Yeah, well, I wish they'd go and get a job because, and I'm not being rude, because maybe it's not easy to get a job where they come from. But if you look around, because they seem to travel around quite a lot, use the old expression, get on your bike and find a job. They clearly haven't got a job if they're protesting every time the king is about. I am a royalist. I think the king is one of the greatest assets this country's got. And these mindless people waving their yellow banners around, not my king. Sorry, King Charles is your king, and if you don't like it, I suggest you go and live somewhere else.
Thank you, Mike Parry. Speak again shortly.
Let us know what you think on either of those stories. You're certainly going to have an opinion this morning. gbnews.com/yoursay. Now, at 12 minutes past 6, violent clashes in the US have continued for a fourth night as Donald Trump deploys 2,000 more troops and 700 Marines to crack down on protests in Los Angeles.
Californian Governor Gavin Newsom is suing the president in reaction to his decision, which Trump obviously defends.
Well, almost 20 protesters were also restrained after holding a protest in New York's Trump Tower. Well, joining us in the studio is Chairman of Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Swenson. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Greg. And fourth night of unrest now. And is it unusual for US military to get involved on what is a domestic law enforcement like this?
The Democrat media complex in the US will tell you that it is very unusual or it's never happened before, and that's completely untrue. George H.W. Bush sent National Guard, Marines, and the Army to the LA riots in 1992. President Trump is sending just National Guard and Marines. This is quite natural for presidents. If the law is not enforced by a governor, then the federal government will come in and do it themselves. And it happened during the segregation problems in the South in the 50s and 60s. Eisenhower sent troops. John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert, who was Attorney General, they sent troops to enforce the law to desegregate the schools. So this is not unusual.
And what do you make of Trump calling the Californian governor, Gavin Newsom, grossly incompetent, calling for his arrest even?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Governor Newsom has a horrible track record. I mean, he's done his best to wreck that state. That's why there's mass migration out of California. It's similar to the UK, but also similar to New York, Illinois. You know, when you tax people too much, when you make it unlivable, people will leave. And so I think President Trump is quite right. And I'm not sure it's incompetent, because he's probably not stupid. But he is, he is a radical progressive, and he's completely disconnected from the very people that he claims to look after.
He seems to be quite happy to tolerate, shall we say, illegal migrancy in the state. Look, we all get along fine. You'll all find jobs under the radar and whatever it is. It's all happy. Leave it alone.
Yeah, that's because they don't live in his neighborhood. And so what's happened is you have a two-tier justice system there. Not two-tier left versus right, but it's two-tier rich versus poor. So Governor Newsom, Mayor Bass, all the congressmen, senators, they live in gated communities, in beautiful communities where there is law enforcement. You can't burn a car in Beverly Hills or Bel Air, but you can burn a car in the neighborhoods like Watts, in the neighborhoods like where the riots are occurring. And so it's really two-tiered. It's segregation by another name. And it's really a shame, because it's the people that, the legal immigrants, the families that are on hourly wages, they're the ones who suffer. And Newsom doesn't care if those neighborhoods burn.
What is the overall effect of this, Greg? The amount of people who are under the radar and able to exist and work and survive in Los Angeles?
Well, I think it's going to be really detrimental to the working people, to the honest people who came here legally or came to California legally. And the illegal migrants, just like Obama did the same thing. And he deported hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants because that's the law. And the executive, the president doesn't have an option. It's not, Biden actually broke the law by not enforcing what the Congress had passed. The Congress has said, if you immigrate to the U.S. illegally, if you cross the border illegally, you need to be detained and deported. And so President Trump is just executing the law that Congress passed. Obama did the same thing. Only Joe Biden decided that the executive did not have to enforce the law.
You make it sound very simple there, and maybe at the
it is
essence,
simple.
it is simple,
Yeah.
right? Why can't we do that in Britain? I mean, do you not think we look upon that a lot of people will be looking at Britain and saying, now, wait a minute, these people enter the country illegally, we say you shouldn't be here, we round them up, we deport them, and they're gone. And yet we can't do that in Britain.
It's a simple formula, and the problem is you can do it in Britain, but the governments have chosen not to. And that's not just, I'm not just criticizing Labour. I mean, the Conservative Party did the same. And I think they're not listening to the people. The people, the top issues for voters in the United Kingdom, in Ireland, in America, the top two issues, immigration and cost of living. And what are the top two issues for the government? The existential crisis of climate change and policing misinformation, which we call censorship in America. So, yeah, it's really a shame, and they could do it. And you saw that black and white with President Biden versus President Trump. Biden had the option. He could have enforced the law, and he chose not to. And he claimed he needed more money, and he claimed that, he had all these excuses. President Trump came into office and reduced illegal migration by 99% in 2 months. It was phenomenal, without additional funds. And so it's a myth to say that there's too many barriers to doing that. It's so manageable. Just enforce the law.
Well, enforce the law, and it's certainly being enforced with consequences.
Yep.
If you've got a view on it, please let us know. Greg's going to stay around, and he'll be back after 7 o'clock and taking any points that you have made in having your say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg. Now, at 18 minutes past 6, let's get a check on the weather with Alex Deacon.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning, and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times, but much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday, with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter, and compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier, with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast, and even inland some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England, where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast, that could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers, temperatures creeping up, more heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now at 21 minutes past 6, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
Violence erupted yesterday evening in Ballymena in Northern Ireland after a protest over a sexual assault case. Missiles were thrown at police and homes set on fire as the unrest escalated. 2 14-year-old boys charged in connection with the assault appeared in court and deny charges against them, but that was the reaction.
Israeli forces have confirmed overnight that Greta Thunberg is at Ben Gurion Airport, where she awaits deportation alongside 11 other activists who were seized on a Gaza-bound aid ship by the IDF. Israel called the voyage a publicity stunt, dubbing the vessel a selfie yacht. They say the Swedish activist will soon be sent home.
Thriller writer and MI6 agent Frederick Forsyth has died at the age of 86. Most famously known for Day of the Jackal, he sold over 75 million copies worldwide. Forsyth drew on his spy past to redefine the genre. He wrote 23 books in total.
Well, this is a new giveaway. Have you done this one yet? You must have done it yesterday. Okay. So
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's what it is. I thought it was very random. £54,321,000 in tax-free cash.
Yeah.
The biggest cash prize ever given away.
It is.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it could be yours.
There you
Have a go.
We're kick-starting summer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
27 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock, and as you ease yourself into the day, I think it's time to sit back and reflect. Here is our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Richard England, Vicar of Crofton Parish. Would you like to be a better person? I know I would. Most of us want to be better people. Most of our friends and family want us to be better people too. If you had to write down 1 or 2 ways in which you want to be a better person, what would you write? Less short-tempered? Harder working? Patient? Kinder? Less stuck in particular patterns of behaviour? Less anxious? One of the things the Holy Spirit does is change us. I think this is one of the main things that puts people off exploring faith, because they think it will change them. Well, it will, but that might not be a bad thing. You see, the Holy Spirit isn't interested in making us more religious or more judgmental. He's interested in making us more like Jesus. That means kinder, more generous, more at peace in ourselves. Becoming more like Jesus actually means being more ourselves, at least the best version of ourselves. We'll never be perfect, and there are limits to how much a person will completely change. But the good news is that we are not alone in our desire to be better people. That's the work the Holy Spirit wants to do in us.
Now, anti-monarchy protesters clashed with royal fans in Lancaster yesterday during the King's visit to the city's castle.
What's that all about? All these tensions wasn't noticed by His Majesty, apparently, who focused on returning with a world, or reuniting with a World War II veteran. Our royal correspondent Cameron Walker has the story for you.
King of the Castle. His Majesty's first official visit to Lancashire as monarch. And Lancaster crowds were there to greet him.
From today.
The young...
Look, is this for me? Thank you very much. Very kind. Thank you.
And old.
Were you indeed? Yes.
The King met 101-year-old World War II veteran Richard Brock inside.
What are we going to do with that, George? I don't know.
And met with local business owners, including Butler's Farmhouse Cheeses, a family firm since 1932.
No, cheeseburger is incredibly good on a digestive, because
a digestive is sweet.
But it's the combination.
The King particularly taken with their creamy blue cheese. Owner Gillian Hall praised the King's knowledge.
He understands farming. He understands that we have to look after the land in order to look after the produce that it makes.
Outside, a small number of protesters from Republic, which campaigns for an elected head of state, wanted their voices heard. This led to tense clashes.
I've just spoken to the police. I would rip that out of your hand, but they would arrest me, so that's the only reason.
Good, I'm glad of that, because you're intolerant and unpleasant.
These people, they don't understand why are they here. If they don't like the King, don't turn up.
A conveniently placed minibus blocks the King's view of the protesters as he greeted members of the public. Many were glad he was up north.
It's the Red Rose of Lancashire to greet him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you hoping to give it to him?
We are.
I think they're a wonderful asset to our country, and they show the best of British.
And are you excited to see King Charles? Did you see him?
Yes, I am. I've seen him quite a few times, but I've never been this close.
We don't get a lot of the royal family going up to the north, so you know when they can come and we've got a chance to meet them and see them, I think it's fantastic. It goes back with some great memories, yeah, like I will.
The city of Lancaster, we've lived here all our lives, and it's just a wonderful place. We're all very friendly, and most of us love the royal family.
His Majesty's visit also highlights the Duchy of Lancaster. That's the personal private income of the sovereign since the 1300s. And later this summer, we're expecting the Sovereign Grants Report to be published. That details how our public money is spent to fund the monarchy. Cameron Walker, GB News at Lancaster Castle.
Now, my point about all that is, look at the happiness that the King spread there in Lancaster yesterday. You know, he was reunited with a World War II veteran, he did all that touring, sampled that food, spoke to those school children. What harm was he doing for those Egypts to be standing, protesting about all that yesterday? I mean, there's happiness, there's just loveliness, just nice day in all our dull and boring drab lives going on, and then those Egypts with their yellow placards outside who've obviously nothing better to do, add their protests to it, but I don't know. So there's that lot, I think, need to be accountable. And the other thing that they need to be accountable about is Rachel Reeves and her advisors. So what we never hear is who whispered in her ear and said, Chancellor, this would be a good idea. All those old people, take the money off them that they have to heat their bones over winter, and we'll have it. And then don't say sorry about it. So who actually advised her with that? Would you not be straight into that office and say, oh, you, I want a word?
Idea.
Who came up with a stupid idea? It'd be some 10-year-old advisor. It is.
I don't think they thought it would be as politically damaging as it has been. And they probably thought pensioners aren't voting Labour, so it's not going to be a vote loser for them. Is what they probably bargained for.
She said last year, November last year, she said, we're not going to be coming back with more tax increases or indeed more borrowing. We now need to live within the means we've set ourselves in the budget and those allocations of spending totals, which obviously she has not, but she talks tough. OK?
But now she's going to have a bill, isn't she? £1.2 billion bill for this winter fuel U-turn. So how's that going to be paid for?
Very good question.
Spending cuts, you'd imagine. Anyway, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Definitely let us know. If you're out and about today, you're heading out, you want to know what the roads are like, let's have a look.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A9 is closed at Helmsdale due to planned maintenance. Expect longer journey times. On the A55, both the eastbound exit and westbound entry slip roads at junction 23A, Pensarn, are closed for planned maintenance. In South Gloucestershire, the M48 westbound between junction 1 and junction 2 has lane closures. Please allow extra time for your journey. And on the trains, industrial action may affect cross-country services, and northern trains are experiencing disruptions between Preston and Blackpool North and Blackpool South. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Let's go to Paul. He's got a roundup of what's happening sports-wise.
Well, Belgium beat Wales 4-3 yesterday. I've got to tell you, it was some game, though. This was a qualifier for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And in 28 minutes, Belgium were 3-0 up, and I'm thinking this is going to be a disaster because it's gone really well so far for Wales and Craig Bellamy because they're unbeaten in 10.
Yeah.
And so they're 3-0 down. It looks like it's all going to be a disaster. Then they get a goal back. Then it's 3-1. Then it's 3-2. Then it's 3-3. And then the momentum is with Wales. And then, unfortunately, right at the end, 88th minute, guess who scores for Belgium? Kevin De Bruyne. There he is. So he gets the winner. But it's all good for Wales. I mean, they're doing so well under Craig Bellamy. And the way that the league is looking at the moment, anyway, they're qualifying for the World Cup. Wales are second, Belgium are third, although they've played a lot less games. North Macedonia are top at the moment. Who would have thought? North Macedonia.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Not even the North Macedonians.
And who would have thought Senegal tonight? Are they going to put a smile on Thomas Tuchel's face?
Well, they're called Le Lion de Teranga, as I'm sure you both know.
Yeah.
Senegal, the Lions of Teranga. Yeah, they've got the World Cup quarter-final 2002. Where do you think they are in the world, Senegal? In the FIFA rankings, where would you say they are? You may be surprised.
Pretty near the bottom.
Yeah?
122nd.
Well, whatever, 20 off the bottom.
They're 19th in the world.
Oh.
19th in the... Get
yes,
off it.
They're 19th in the world. Did you know they are the only country never to lose to Brazil? One win.
Because they've never played
no, they've played once. Once in 1935. No, one win, one draw. They're ranked 19th in the world. You know, then you've got players that you know, like, you know, Kalidou Koulibaly plays for them, and there's Idrissa Gueye is another one. So these are no slouches. They're playing at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest, and that is tonight. So there we are.
Right, have Spurs got Thomas Frank or not?
Looks like it. Looks like it. Probably will be announced today. If not today, I think tomorrow.
Is this good news?
I think he's a very good manager. He's a decent guy, and he will fit in with Spurs. I think very well. There's an exit fee, which Spurs are going to have to pay Brentford of around £10 million, which people think, oh, you've got to pay £10 million. If you think you've got to pay for a decent player and how important a player is, how important is a manager? So £10 million is probably nothing in the grand scheme.
I could see him being at Spurs for a long time. I think that could be a very good fit.
Let's hope he's a successful manager, and hopefully will happen today. I know Brentford aren't very happy, but they've had a great run with him. 2021, he's taken them up into the Premier League. That's where they've been ever since. They love him there, and I think he'll be a very good fit at Spurs.
Well, service up Emma Raducanu. What's going on there?
Queen's Club. Balta Canoe, they're calling it now.
Oh.
So you've got Katie Balta, Emma Raducanu playing doubles together at the Queen's Club. First time they played women's tennis at Queen's Club in 52 years, by the way. And one more very quick one for you. Have a look at this. Coco Gauff with the French Open trophy. Now, they get a replica because they don't get to keep the actual trophy themselves. It's the same as Wimbledon as well. It's a bit of a poor replica. Have a look. See what you think about this. It's very little. I don't know whether she's too happy with it.
Hi, I just won French Open for Roland Garros, and this is the trophy that you guys see, the one that we take pictures with, do press with, and all that. But actually, we don't get to take this home. This stays with the tournament, and I'm going to show you guys the one we take home. It's a lot smaller. So this is the one we take home. It's like a mini replica of the trophy.
It's not very impressive, is it?
That's like something you'd win at sports.
I mean, look at it. It does. It looks like one of those you go into a trophy shop and say, I love one of those. There it is next to an Evian bottle. So there you go. It's not very impressive to win the French Open and you get to take that home. It's like, ew, weedy little... Some of those things you get with a Sabutio.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much indeed. We've got Bill Rammel, we've got Anna Firth. They're going to run through the newspapers very shortly. Good morning, guys. After we bring you the European hotspots.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of summer warmth and sunny skies over the Mediterranean at the moment. A few thunderstorms brewing up over northern parts of Spain and temperatures on the rise in Italy. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands. Not too hot here as the breeze is coming down from the north. Temperatures ticking up in Rome into the mid-30s perhaps by the end of the week. There are those heavy showers across northern Spain, parts of northern Portugal also seeing some downpours. But Lisbon, I think, set fair and temperatures, as I said, rising into the mid-30s in Rome later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I think there's a real culture shift when you leave the forces, which some people really struggle with. Not all do, many don't. You know, of those 2.1 million, not everybody's struggling with loneliness and isolation. But those that do really struggle to find their way, and then you get in that spiral.
They've been institutionalised, they've been in a with
with
other men or other women for many years.
So you've lived in that community, you've felt valued, you've had purpose, you've had a great team and an identity, and then in some cases you don't. And when you lose that, some people struggle with that. And so Friday, as you saw, is an environment where you can bring that community back together again.
And it might actually be that some of the people to whom the army is an appealing option are already the kind of characters that want that security and they need that routine and stability, especially as younger men maybe. And so to have that taken away must be difficult. What more can be done, Richard, to help veterans when they do transition out of the army?
I think there's some good mechanisms in place for people to transition from all three services, Army, Navy, Air Force. But some people struggle, perhaps those who leave quickly as well. So if you leave quickly under a medical discharge or for disciplinary reason, you haven't necessarily left on your terms or within a time. If you were planning on serving 20 plus years and that's over in a flash, that's a game changer. And so you need that support network, family, friends, but also the MOD provide and also local community provides.
I was talking to one guy and I said, what's going on with your leg? And his wife said, he won't tell you. He lost his leg on duty, would not talk about it. He said, I was just doing my job. That's when it's incredibly humbling. And we saw a lot of this at VE Day. Bev and I were down at the Palace for 5.5 hours and we met some extraordinary figures. And it does, you do feel a sense of humility in their presence. And then you see some of them are sleeping rough on our streets.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Let's have a look at the front pages that you're waking up to on this Tuesday. Daily Express hails a victory for pensioners as the Chancellor confirms she is reinstating winter fuel payments for 75% of elderly people.
The Mirror has the same story, calling the government's biggest U-turn to date a winter wonderful.
The Sun puts a less positive spin on things, urging the Chancellor to apologise for the tax cut last year.
Deluded is the front of the Daily Mail as they claim Labour's economic plans have descended into chaos.
And the Times says Rachel Reeves has refused to meet with the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper to discuss funding efforts to reduce migration ahead of next week's spending review.
Well, joining us now to go through those papers and all the stories inside is former Conservative MP Anna Firth and former Labour MP Bill Rammell. Morning, you two.
Oh. Sorry seems to be the hardest word, Anna.
Well, exactly. I mean, you know, finally she's done the right thing, but not after nearly a year of campaigning, including, obviously, from this channel. And if you're a pensioner, of course, you know, it is good news. They're going to get that £300 payment. But what about all the pensioners who lost out last year? I mean, my 84-year-old mother lost her winter fuel last year. Is she going to get that back? Because she jolly well should do. And I think you know, she saved her job for a few weeks, but I doubt she saved her job for very long because trust has now been broken.
Bill, what do you think of what goes on here? I mean, my anger turns towards the 10-year-old advisors that they have and who actually whispers in her ear and says, this would be a good policy to do this.
I think there is a problem with advisors. But look, there's always been a case of means testing the winter fuel allowance. Where the government got it wrong was it set the threshold far too low. I think the change that's been made, 35,000 average national wage, is the right one. But the question of how we got here, I think, and I'm persuaded that the Chancellor and Treasury Ministers, when they took office, were really spooked about the unfunded commitments from the previous government. They had to make a change to demonstrate to the markets they were on it and they were going to tackle the problem. But they got this wrong. I was struck reading recently Tony Blair's memoirs where he said, and he was talking about his relationship with pensioners, and he said a pensioner who is wronged is like a Rottweiler on speed. And, you know, any MP or minister from my New Labour era, if we'd spoken to Keir or Rachel Reeves at the time, would have said, just don't go there, don't do it.
Yeah.
But they've made the change, which I think is very welcome.
But they took so long to make the change.
But you look at someone like Trump, and whatever we think of him, he tends to get these decisions right. It tends to be populist decisions he goes for. That just wasn't populist in any way. I mean, she could have made cuts, but somewhere where people would have said, yes, absolutely.
Well, look, I mean, there has been a case for means testing. I know the Tory party in 2017 had a manifesto commitment to means test the winter fuel allowance. But the judgment in terms of where it impacted and who was excluded, I think they fundamentally got wrong. And, you know, in my experience for 13 years as an MP, there was no more vociferous group of campaigners in my constituency than pensioners. Yeah. They were organised. They put...
So don't mess with them.
Don't mess with them.
But also fess up and be honest about why you've done it. I mean, I do not believe for 1 minute that this is due to... Well, we know it's not. She says it's because the economy's improved. Well, not according to the OBR.
No.
And people aren't feeling like it's improved.
People aren't feeling
her media training really bugs me.
She
thinks if she speaks firmly and speaks with authority, it's accepted, and it's not. She just looks stupid.
And if you were on the doorsteps, as I was, as you know, many people were in Runcorn and Helsby, it was the #1 issue on the doorstep. Don't tell me that that is not the reason for this U-turn. It's because the Labour Party did incredibly badly in the local elections. They lost that safe seat, and now they're U-turning. Be honest about why you're U-turning. You got it wrong.
That's the process of politics and government. Of course, you listen to the reaction from people and you change. But, you know, in terms of, I think it's the right decision.
tell lies, Bill. Don't pretend you're doing it for one reason when we all know you're doing it for another reason.
You know, the media, the press, give absolutely no credit for politicians who say, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. They are lambasted.
I agree, Bill. I think there's a lot to learn there. There's no harm in actually saying, because of our pressure, she changed her mind. We applaud her for that, or whatever, or she admits she was wrong. I don't think it does anybody any good to go, no, you say you're sorry, just all the time.
Well, I think there's a lot of anger about it coming out in the first place. I mean, Labour were the ones, it was their own research just last year that they said 4,000 pensioners were going to die if there were cuts to winter fuel. Then they went and did that straight away.
They didn't do an impact assessment. They totally underestimated old people. They took them, you know, and old people feel that they were punished, and old people, they've got memories like elephants. I mean, they're brilliant.
And they vote.
They won't.
And they vote.
And they go out and vote.
As we saw at the local elections.
And where I think she's going to have a real problem now is with her backbenchers, because they now will smell blood that they have actually got her to reverse on this. So what's she going to do about the PIP disability payment cuts? What's she now going to do about the two-child benefit? I think she's in a sticky position.
Well, the two-child benefit wouldn't be a U-turn. The government has said from the beginning it doesn't agree with it, and when it can, it will change it. And I do think that's one of the things at the centre of this. If you look at what I would call intergenerational unfairness, children, families have lost out to pensioners over 15 years. And I think, you know, that two-child benefit cap that is keeping hundreds of thousands of kids in poverty needs to be changed.
I totally disagree with you on that, Bill. If you are working and you want to have more children, you have to pay for those children out of your income. Doesn't automatically go up. You have to make changes. It should be exactly the same, I'm afraid, if you're living on benefits.
It's not the parents who suffer, it's the children. And what we're doing through the tax and benefit system is punishing poor children, and I don't think that's not good for them. And it's not good for the country.
At the same time, Bill, I think it looks like as if you're being harsh and cruel and penalising people who've worked all their lives to save and get somewhere on the ladder. I understand what you're saying, but why can't they both win? Why have you to penalise one or the other?
Eamonn, I get the emotion of that argument, and, you know, on the doorstep I've argued it with people, but I come back to the point, it is children who suffer if they're in poverty, and if they grow up in poverty, you know, their life chances and their ability to contribute to society is so much less. And I think, you know, it's a change that needs to happen when the government can afford it.
No, I fundamentally disagree with you, because if you can't afford to have more children, you shouldn't be having children. And if we want to do something about poverty, well, then let's help those families back into work. The best route out of poverty is for people to actually have good jobs.
I know what you're advocating was a big thing for Tony Blair and Gordon Brown as well.
And we lifted 1 million kids out of poverty.
Yeah. So, look, we've had a say here on it. You're very welcome to have your say. Get in touch with us today and we will reflect that as we go through the programme today.
Anna and Bill, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next hour. Let's get a check on the weather now, shall we? Because it is starting to look a bit sunnier this week. We'll get the details with Alex Deacon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times, but much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter. And compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier, with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast and even inland. Some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England, where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast. That could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland, seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers. Temperatures creeping up. More heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A9 is closed in both directions at Helmsdale due to ongoing overnight roadworks, prompting drivers to anticipate significantly longer travel times while awaiting the next amnesty period. In Northamptonshire, planned maintenance on the A55 has resulted in the closure of the eastbound exit slip road at Pensarn and the westbound entry slip road. On the trains, cross-country industrial action is causing widespread disruptions, notably impacting journeys between Gloucester and Cardiff Central, where related Great Western Railway services are also affected. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The biggest U-turn of this government yet as the Chancellor reverses her controversial winter fuel cuts.
Today I can announce that this winter 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
All pensioners earning under £35,000 a year will receive those payments from the winter.
But a big question this morning, who's going to foot the £1.25 billion bill?
Civil unrest continues in Los Angeles. Donald Trump sends 2,000 more National Guards to the front line as he hits out at California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it.
Greta goes home. Greta Thunberg and her fellow activists arrive at Ben Gurion Airport in Israel ahead of being deported.
King Charles visits Lancaster Castle, but not everyone is that welcoming.
Outside, a small number of protesters from Republic, which campaigns for an elected head of state, wanted their voices heard.
Northern Irish farmers will descend on Stormont today to protest against new environmental rules wreaking havoc on the industry.
But clearing up Lough Neagh.
Calls for the Minister of Agriculture to resign are growing louder. Farmers believe that Minister Moore's policies on phosphate are going to devastate the industry, and it is Northern Ireland's biggest income.
Are we lazy at learning foreign languages? That's our debate this morning after authorities in Venice ban merchants from speaking English. We're debating that in just 20 minutes.
And in sport this morning, will Wales come back from 3 down against Belgium to get to 3-3, but then eventually lose 4-3 in a thriller in Brussels? International friendlies tonight. England play Senegal in Nottingham as Northern Ireland play Iceland. And Thomas Frank is now on the verge of becoming the new Spurs manager.
A brighter day in the north today, a dull day across parts of the south. Over the next few days, though, for all of us, the temperatures and the humidity will be rising. Join me later for a full forecast.
Just after 7 o'clock. Good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. However you're watching, however you're listening, you're very welcome. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, that whole business about we as a nation not being too proficient speaking foreign languages, I think there's a lot of truth in it. I was lazy with it.
Me too.
Yeah?
Lazy.
Because English was always there. It was always the easy option.
Everyone can speak it wherever you go abroad, it would seem. Also, I'm quite self-conscious of my accents. You know, when you're in France and then you try and order something.
But do you shout? I love it when you still get it. I remember my dad used to do it. Start talking like this to try and so someone will understand. It's like, no.
Yes, yes.
No?
Are you a cunning linguist?
I am, actually, yes.
Are you?
Yes, I am. Because if Thomas Frank comes into because I do know some Danish, I think I've mentioned that to you before. Undskyld, jeg vidste ikke, at det var den veninde.
God, you're natural.
Yeah, you're quite good at accents.
Sorry, I didn't know that was your girlfriend. That's the only... That's Danish, apparently. That's all I know. Yes.
Oh. Yeah.
Undskyld, jeg vidste ikke, at det var den veninde.
But you're very good at accents, so you wouldn't be embarrassed.
That's how I got... Do you remember that in French, you'd have the French oral exam, and then you'd have to... I learned to say, répétez la question, s'il vous plaît. Repeat the question, please. And that's all I said in a perfect accent. But I couldn't say the words. I knew the tune, but not the words.
You reckon you couldn't give it the old accent, like, you know, bonjour, mademoiselle, comment allez-vous?
Yeah, because that's quite good.
Yeah.
No, I go, bonjour.
Oh.
Do you speak English?
But you'd be so beautiful, people would look and they'd just say, mais oui. Yes. They would just...
No,
you were away at the weekend.
I was on my hen parties. That's why my voice is a little bit...
Croaky.
This morning, a little bit croaky this morning. Did you learn a
different language, though, Eamonn? Did you do that at school?
Oh, yes, I did. What did I do? I did...
I mean, it was
French,
Latin, wasn't
French
it?
was standard.
Right.
Spanish could also be standard. Then,
excellent.
Then you had the option of taking German.
Wow.
Oh, that is...
Love to speak German.
But
that is tough.
I did Latin and ancient Greek.
Very good.
Now, was that useful for you?
Huh?
Was that useful?
Yes, I think it was very useful, actually.
Like the root of words and things.
I'm a superb speller. You know, because everything emanates from Latin or Greek, you know, the English language, and I'm quite good with that. But I do think maybe at my age, how old am I now? 46. That I could
going on 47 now. Come on, you're closer to 47.
Sometime. Anyway, the Chancellor was ridiculed after U-turning on her first decisions. You couldn't do that, couldn't you?
Yeah,
anyway, she U-turned on one of her first decisions to cut winter fuel payments for the majority of pensioners, and it is causing a big hoo-ha. I'm not sure what language hoo-ha is, but it's not good.
No, it's not. Well, pensioners in England and Wales will now have their £300 payments reinstated as long as they earn less than £35,000 a year.
So Rachel Reeves turned the blame on what her party inherited from the previous government when she spoke yesterday.
We had to make difficult decisions last year. The public finances were in a total mess when I became Chancellor last summer, and we had to take immediate action to get control and get a grip of the public finances. We have been able to do that. We've returned stability to the economy. In the first quarter of this year, our economy was the fastest growing in all of the G7, which now means we're able to make different choices. And that's why today I can announce that this winter, 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
Where's she going to get that money from? I suspect she's going to tax the heck out of all of us now as a result of
or
that.
cutting public services. Those are going to be the choices.
Yeah, so she's 1.25 billion in the red. She's got to get it back. Let's get Mike Parry's view on all of this this morning. Mike, you've been listening to this story developing. You've been listening to her, well, I was going to say apology. She hasn't apologised. She's explained. Do you accept her explanation?
No, I don't. And I want to refer back to something you said earlier in the last hour, Eamonn. Where did this decision come from, right? Now, that's a very good question, because you've got to remember, when the current Labour government came in, nobody had a proper job. Rachel Reeves is the only person in the cabinet who's had even the semblance of a job in the private sector. She did something at the Bank of England and she did something at the Halifax Building Society, we think, according to her CV. But the rest of the cabinet have never run a business of their own or worked in the private sector. In addition, you had a couple of hundred new MPs coming on the back benches who all came from the public sector, either trade unions or from local councils where they've served on their local council or something like that. So basically, there was nobody there with any experience. Now, within all the major departments of government, you know, the Home Office, the Treasury and the Foreign Office, there is a cabal of civil servants who actually think they run the country. And Rachel Reeves will have taken advice from a group of civil servants who thought it was a good thing to attack the pensioners by taking the winter fuel payment off them. Pensioners, generally speaking, when they get to the age they are, have experienced the problem with economics under Labour governments before. You know, Gordon Brown ended up having to leave the Treasury in a mess. Jim Callaghan almost bankrupted the country. And so those older people know that, you know, maybe the economy's not safe under Labour and therefore are not seen to be supportive of the government. So they looked like a target that we could attack without any political damage. They completely underestimated the care and compassion we have in this country for older people. And then moving on to a point that Ellie made about the fact that Labour themselves should have known 4,000 pensioners were going to die if you cut the winter payment. That emanates back to 2015 when George Osborne was the coalition Chancellor under David Cameron. And he just voiced, he didn't even propose it. He voiced once the idea that, you know what, we might have a look at the pensioners' winter fuel payment and we might take it off the richest pensioners. That's all he said. And yet, Labour then went and produced a report which said if you take it off any pensioners, 4,000 pensioners will die at the height of winter. You're killing pensioners. But because of the total inexperience of the current government they got in, because nobody had worked in government before, because they'd been in opposition for 14 years, they weren't even aware of their own report. So they really could have avoided the terrible trouble that they've piled up for themselves if they just acted like a professional government instead of, sad to say, they look to me like a students' union, you know, suddenly taking over the government and employing all the, you know, the nuances of what they think a Labour government should be about. A lot of it's ideology, and in their ideology, and you've just made the point yourself.
Now, calm down.
The ideology is to attack
calm down, and let Ellie make a point here. Just let him draw a breath there a bit, right?
But this is the thing, isn't it, Mike? It's a self-inflicted wound. And it was so obvious within the first few hours of this policy being announced how deeply unpopular it was going to be. Why did they let it run and run for so long? Why did they let that humiliating defeat the local elections take part?
She thought she was looking strong, an iron-fisted chancellor.
Yeah, no, this is exactly true. The word iron-fisted Chancellor came from Tony Blair. You know, he said, you know, my Chancellor, Gordon Brown, you know, with his clumping fist on the desk is an iron Chancellor. And people think now that, that must be a compliment if you're an Iron Chancellor. The fact that Gordon Brown, when he became Prime Minister, actually left us in a terrible state when he lost the election to David Cameron, and yet people still think Iron Chancellor is a compliment. It's not, because it was applied to Gordon Brown.
OK. Mike, really appreciate you getting all that off your chest there. We know how you feel this morning. Not a fan of... What?
Just trying to be helpful.
Oh,
you are very
Mike,
good. You are
are.
indeed. If only you were Chancellor. That's the point. But you do think questions like that, Mike, and you think you couldn't do a worse job, could you?
Nobody could do a worse job. Seriously,
No.
Because do you know why? There's no common sense in what they're doing. If you crush the economy, you don't take taxes from people who are working, and therefore it's a doom loop. And we're in a doom loop because the economy is going south.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Have your say about what Mike has had to say this morning. Now, talking about common sense is what's going on in Los Angeles. Common sense. Violent clashes in America have continued for a second day.
As Donald Trump deploys 2,000 more troops and 700 Marines to crack down on protests in Los Angeles. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, is suing the US president in reaction to the decision. Let's have a listen to Donald Trump's thoughts.
A competent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it.
Well, let's bring in Greg Swenson now. Greg's the chairman of Republicans Overseas, UK. Greg, how do you think your president is being portrayed, the state of Los Angeles and California are being portrayed throughout all of this? How do you think this is playing out?
I think it's going to play out well for the president. You know, the left-leaning media and the Democrats might not agree, but I think it's obvious that Governor Newsom may be incompetent or just completely immoral, but he's wrecking that state, and this is another example of it. So I think the president will look good here. There's precedent for this.
But gosh, when we think about it, right, here you've got a guy who's running this whole state, and over the top of his head, without any consultation, the president says, this is what we're going to do. Now, Newsom has no say in this at all. Is he just watching his whole state being taken over by National Guard?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think the president was very deliberate about this. He said, if you can't handle it yourself, I will send in the National Guard. And he didn't do that. He did not do that in Minneapolis or in Minnesota in 2020. So there's precedent here where sometimes presidents wait too long. I think President Trump thought that the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, would handle it, and he did not. He chose to let his city burn. And so I think there's precedent here. You have the Rodney King riots in 1992 in Los Angeles specifically. You had the summer of 2020 riots. And even just recently, last year, the Dodgers won the World Series. And so there was looting and rioting in Los Angeles, in downtown Los Angeles. So, you know, there's precedent here, and I think the president's doing the right thing.
Greg, could you just explain to us what exactly happened? Just rewind the clock a few days here. Did Trump decide to have a crackdown on illegal migrants? And by doing that, there was a bad reaction.
Right.
And therefore, to keep things under control, he had to bring in the National Guard. That's the way I understand it. Is that what happened?
Yeah, there was, you know, over a few days that they were rounding up illegal migrants. This is ICE, the immigration agency that handles these things, and Immigration Customs Enforcement. And so, you know, they were doing what they've been telegraphing for a year now. You know, during the campaign, in many respects, illegal immigration was the #1 issue or the #2 issue for voters. So he's just delivering on his campaign promises. President Obama did the exact same thing. His Justice Department, one of his Justice Department staffers, Cecilia Munoz, there's a great clip going around social media now of her saying back in 2011, we are going to enforce the law. This is laws passed by Congress. The executive, the president, does not have a choice. He has to execute the laws. And so in this case, President Trump is executing the law. And Mayor Bass in LA and Governor Newsom of California have taken issue with that. And they've decided that you know, they're virtue signaling that, oh, that's bad, you know, to deport illegal migrants. We're, you know, a state and a nation of immigrants. Yes, we are, but we're a nation of legal immigrants. And so this is just a dispute between the progressive left and the president, who's just doing what he promised to do. So I think the president is right here on just about every measure.
And do you think this can be peaceably solved?
Well, it can't be peaceably solved when you have riots in the street and burning cars and looting. And so, unfortunately, that's going to require law enforcement. That's why George H.W. Bush in 1992 sent in the National Guard, the Army, the Marines. That's why President Eisenhower and President Kennedy sent federal troops to desegregate schools when Democrat governors in the South refused to allow young black children to go to school. So this is there's some precedent here, and it goes back to the Civil War, where literally
What does this do to the whole population of California or Los Angeles? If I was living there, do I say, oh, I'm getting out of here, I'm going to Texas, or I'm going to the East Coast?
Those who can leave, right? So rich people who live in gated communities and are very well protected from this kind of behavior, they stay because they can and because they're very well protected because they have money. But at some point when they're taxed too much, or if you're middle class and you just can't make ends meet because of the taxes and the regulations, the over-regulation, they move to Texas, they move to Tennessee, they move to, you know, even to the Midwest. And so, you know, there's a real mass migration out of California, and it's really a shame.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you.
Good to see you, Greg. And as you can see on the screen, there are live pictures in Los Angeles just after 11 p.m. at night. Lots of people still out on the streets.
Yeah. Scary.
It is, yeah.
Greg Newsom, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Alex Deakin, weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times. But much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter. And compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast and even inland. Some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England, where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast. That could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland, seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers. Temperatures creeping up. More heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Farmers are set to protest outside Stormont in Northern Ireland today. Their anger is over new laws that limit the use of certain fertilisers. Now, these fertilisers are used in farming fields around Lough Neagh. Lough Neagh is the biggest freshwater lake in the whole of Europe, and it's been poisoned. It's completely green. But you stop putting the nitrogen into the soil and you affect farming really, really badly. Let's go to Dougie Beattie, and he will tell us. And obviously, it's obvious why the farmers are upset about this, but they really think this will affect their business. But Dougie, the environment and the poisoning of Lough Neagh, it's got to be considered.
It has to be considered, but the policies around Lough Neagh, they are following science by consultants that suit an environmental lobby. And this is what's angering the farmers. Quite simply, I wasn't going to go to this point first, but I will, since you've brought it up. Phosphates in land are in fertilisers. We all have phosphate. All water has algae in it. I mean, if you put a bucket out the back of your house, let water sit in it and didn't touch it for 4 or 5 weeks, it'd be green in the top of it. So there's a number of problems with Lough Neagh, and many companies that went for the tender of Lough Neagh weren't even looked at, because they said 3 things. Number one, the old landfill sites of the 70s, 80s and 90s that are around Lough Neagh, and strangely enough, they are on the area that is showed in red on Lough Neagh, where the most algae breaks out. We're not bonded, etc. back in those days. We just dumped our landfill into there, and they have been seeping into the loch. Number two, they don't dredge the rivers into Lough Neagh or out of Lough Neagh. And if you can imagine, this is a huge bucket in the middle of Northern Ireland with 5 rivers coming in and going out of it. They won't dredge those rivers because they're trying a new system over the past few years, and I suspect it has gone on in the UK as well, where what they do is there is a measurement on the land of phosphates 1 to 5. 3, you can still spread phosphates, but very little of it. 5, you can't spread phosphates. So most of Northern Ireland would be clay soil, and it holds phosphates. And the farmers themselves aren't interested in spending loads of money on chemical fertiliser when they can do that with their own slurry. So they try to reduce phosphate, and then the sandy soil that is close, the water goes through it and it washes the phosphates out. So what they've done is made sure that the rivers and drains around the fields are blocked. But what happens during the winter, Eamonn, is that is the runoff for water. The water table so
Nobody in this room supports these proposals. They have been delivered in a ham-fisted way. The science is seriously questionable. The process is flawed. There has been no rural impact assessment. There has been no engagement with stakeholders. With the strong request to the Minister, a demand to the Minister, lift this off the table, engage with the industry and get a way forward here. But this is a complete car crash.
We're here to say to this department that you either take this back, because you're relying on us to keep using the job. It's time farmers took their industry into their own hands and made a living.
Because it's not a bad trend, and I don't know where it's going to end up. I just wish you had a talk to the farm organisations before this went through.
Dougie, this is an amazing environmental and economical row there. As we've touched upon it there, we'll come back to you later to explain more on that beautiful day with the sun shining down on Parliament buildings behind you there. But Ballymena last night, a lot of disruption, what we're reporting on this morning. What have people taken to the streets about?
Well, this was to do with a sexual assault of a young girl on Saturday evening. 3 men were allegedly involved in this. Youngsters were involved in it. 2 of them have been arrested and appeared in court. The other one is not yet been arrested. And really, there is a real problem going inside these social areas in Northern Ireland, where you have a lot of foreign nationals being put into social housing there. And there's a real clash between the communities. Allegedly, and I do say allegedly, these were foreign nationals that were involved in this. And unfortunately, Eamonn, you and I both know that in certain areas in Northern Ireland, if there is no justice coming from the police, people will go looking to others to get that justice. And unfortunately, that comes at a very big price.
Yeah. Well, my friend, why don't we come back to you later on before the end of the programme, and we'll try and explain more on both those very, very complicated issues. But thank you very much indeed, Dougie. We've got to leave it there.
Thanks, Dougie. Well, according to the Belfast Telegraph this morning, 2 houses were set on fire and masked youths were seen throwing masonry, and a number of properties have been damaged.
OK. Time 7:25. Up next, we all love our holidays, but should you learn the language when you travel abroad? We're debating that next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers
have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Come back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, we are counting down to the best summer so far. We have how much up for grabs?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. £54,321.
Exactly that. Yep, It could be one in the Great British giveaway to date. Could all be yours. Here's how.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and you could win it. £54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
£54,321 could make you our biggest cash winner to date. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, got a story coming in from Venice. Foreign workers there are being forced to learn Italian, and I think fair enough, because
fair play.
They sit and flog things on the streets and whatever it is, and they speak Turkish and they speak Indian, but they don't speak Italiano.
Yeah, because the Venetian population is actually declining.
Yeah, because they just don't want to live there, because it's full of tourists.
Full of tourists, exactly. Yeah. Well, local councillors are proposing that non-Italian vendors obtain a certificate to prove that they can speak Italian. Now, while English is a universal language, we're asking, should Britons working abroad learn the native language? And ultimately, are we actually just too lazy to learn another language?
Well, to debate this, you're joined by linguistics and communications expert. We say hello, good morning, welcome to Dr. Alex Baratta and journalist Emma Wolf, friend of the programme. Very nice to see you. First of all, well, Alex, I'm sure you've got your tongue around all the languages that you need. But Emma, what about you? Are you frequented with any foreign lingo?
I do speak French and Italian and German.
Oh, wow. OK.
Brilliant. So what's your problem?
My problem is not... I don't think foreign language teaching is great at schools in this country. I don't think British people are too lazy to learn another language. But increasingly, Eamonn, when you go abroad, you don't really need to. English is the lingua franca. People always want to give you a few words of English.
Yeah.
Often you don't need a lot more than, cerveza for a beer or a few words in a restaurant, whatever. The tour guide will speak English. Everyone at the hotel will speak English. Often, and especially with phones nowadays, a friend of mine is in Spain. I said to him, have you spoken any Spanish? He said, well, if I can't remember a word, I just pull it out of Duolingo and hold it up on my phone. So I think it's difficult. It's difficult for schools, especially recruiting good foreign language teachers. And that's what you need. You need native, good foreign language teachers, especially after Brexit, especially after all of that. And I think that Labour are cracking down on foreign language teaching. I think the class war, cancelling sort of support for Latin, going after private schools, I think all of that plays into the issue.
OK.
OK, Dr. Alex, what do you make of it?
Well, I don't think it's about Britons per se. I think it's about native speakers of English, British, Americans, Canadians. We are lucky. We're privileged in the sense we speak a global language. I agree, it is a lingua franca. So I think it's not so much about being lazy, about being complacent. But there's so many benefits to learning a foreign language. We don't have the pressure to learn a foreign language like others do, the pressure to learn English to pass exams and so on, and even to study here in the first instance. But the benefits are still there if we are going to live overseas. And I say we, as native speakers of English, and English is not the dominant language, I agree also that it's more than likely people will speak English. If a Mexican tourist goes to Tokyo, they're more likely going to speak English, and the Japanese individuals will probably speak English too. We know that, but even though there's Japanese who speak Spanish.
So is that a lost cause then, Alex? Are you saying that there is no point really learning a foreign language because they're all going to come around to our way of thinking anyway?
Well, to some extent, they probably will, but I don't think it's a lost cause at all because the benefits are still there. It sounds cliche, but it does look good on a CV for students of whatever they study to have a foreign language under their belt, however much they may or may not speak. If we're going to live overseas, I mean, I lived in Korea, I learned Korean. I'm not saying that people should follow me. I'm not setting myself up as the example at all. It just made my life easier in Korea when I did speak Korean for those times when they didn't speak English. And I thought, well, I'm on their turf, so I should learn Korean. And there's even, suggestions that it can help stave off, seriously speaking, dementia later on in life. So it's never too late to learn a foreign language, however little it might be, because even if it is just a few words, please and thank you, it can still go a long way.
Yeah, agree. I agree with you as well. I didn't feel it was particularly forthcoming at school, that it was seen as a priority the way, English was seen as a priority or maths was seen as a priority.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Alex that, you know, really it's such a different experience living abroad. When I've lived for periods of time in France, really living in the culture, it's true. When you're speaking someone's language, and also it helps you to think in a different way. When you live somewhere for a long time, I'm sure you had experiences, Alex, where you woke up and realized you dreamed in Korean, which is really quite interesting.
Incredible. Well, listen, will you do me a favour? Will you say goodbye to us in one of the foreign languages, one of the many foreign languages that you speak?
Au revoir.
Thank you very much indeed. You're very kind. Lovely talking to both of you. Sorry we hadn't got more time. We'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, the Three Lions prepare to play Senegal later today. Who are, was it 18th or 19th?
In the world.
Yeah, they're quite good, actually. We found out in the previous hour. So we're going to be talking about that and much more with Paul Coit next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A85 south of Tainwalt is restricted due to convoy roadworks. Drivers should prepare for longer trips. Roadworks at junction 23A on the A55 in Pensarn caused slip road closures. Lane restrictions on the M6 southbound in Cumbria near junction 37 may lead to delays. The A38 northbound between Burton upon Trent North and the A50 junction is closed due to a previous collision. And on the trains, industrial actions on cross-country services could disrupt plans between Gloucester and Cardiff Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Imagine going to Belgium, scoring 3 goals against the home team and still losing.
I know. Can you imagine going to Belgium, being 3-0 down, and then scoring 3 goals? And then losing to Belgium? It's even worse. But they were very good, Wales. They were very good. And the thing is, they're playing with a freedom. They're playing with a joy. There's Craig Bellamy's let the shackles off, and he's saying, go for it. And they are playing without fear.
Well, could I say, mate, will Tuchel apply that to England tonight against Senegal?
I doubt that. I don't think there's going to be a joy. Do you? I wish there was.
Don't say that.
Well, apparently there's some...
Be positive.
I'm going to get in trouble by talking about football again, so let's be careful.
Apparently there's some thought now that he's going to loosen the shackles a bit and let them play as they would want to play.
See, the thing is, he's one of those that every time he mentions, I don't know, I always get a frog in my throat every time I mention teams underperforming. And I think Thomas Tuchel, are we a Tuchel or a Tuchel?
I'm a Tuchel.
See, I'm a Tuchel, but
you're a Tuchel or Tuchel. But every time it's like, oh, England underperformed, something's stuck in the throat. I think, anyway, let's hear what Thomas Tuchel has to say about tonight.
We underperformed clearly in the physical input into the game, which we could see on the sideline, but could also see on the data. So we simply ran not enough. Clearly, I know that it's a deep block. I know that it's a 5-4-1 for the third time. To break down a well-organized team is always difficult. It will always be difficult. It becomes more and more difficult because teams, even lower teams, become more and more organized, better and better drilled.
Look, Tom, we're talking about Andorra.
I know.
You know?
I know. It's always the argument when you've got teams that are going, well, we just couldn't break them down because the smaller team, they sat back and it was hard for us to break down. Why are they the smaller team then? Everybody else seems to be able to get past it, but it's an argument and I just don't buy it. If you're that good, you should be able to get through.
OK, so they may be off the shackles tonight. Thomas Frank, is it a done deal with him and Spurs?
I think it's very, very close to being a done deal. I think Thomas Frank will be unveiled as the next Spurs manager, either today or tomorrow. I think it probably will happen.
What do Brentford do
later
then?
Today? I don't know what Brentford are going to do. They're going to get £10 million out of it. But, you know, what does that do? He's had a great run with Brentford and he's been fantastic for them. And he's extremely well-liked, which is great for a manager and also extremely well-respected. And with respect to Brentford, I mean, I know there's some people that are going, well, what do you want to leave Brentford to go to Spurs for? Spurs are, I hate to say they're a bigger club, but it's a whole... This is moving up a level, and I'm not saying
they won a Lucky Cup final with an own goal. Really, there's nothing else to say
well,
about
there might
them.
be more trophies on the horizon now.
Now, talking about trophies...
Yes. Coco Gauff. We did mention this earlier, and I'm going to play it again a little bit later. This is Coco Gauff with a little French open...
Tiny miniature
version, take-home version.
I thought what we do is see if you can spot the trophy. There's many famous sporting trophies, and see if you can tell me which trophies these are. Right, the first one, then, what's that?
That's nice.
Is that the Ryder?
It is.
It's the Ryder Cup.
It's the Ryder Cup.
Oh.
Very good. Don't be afraid to go for it. You just go for it. There's the Ryder Cup. So another classic trophy. What's that one?
Oh, that's the Ashes.
Cricket Ashes.
Yes. The Ashes.
Yeah.
It's the Ashes. See a weenie look there. So that's it. The Ashes that were originally the Ashes of the stump or the bales from the first time England and Australia played in that little pot there, the little urn. Right, next one. You're doing well so far. 2 out of 2. What's that one?
Oh, tennis. Wimbledon.
That's tennis.
Wimbledon.
Men's
singles.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Right, let's go with another one.
We're quite good at this.
I'm very impressed. What about that one?
Oh, this is also cricket.
No.
No.
I don't recognise that.
Calcutta Cup.
Yes.
Well done, well done.
And I don't know who told me that, but I know what that is.
England versus Scotland
it's
rugby
union. It's a special urn.
Yes, that's it.
You wouldn't want to win that, would you? No.
From India. It's got the elephant on the top.
Looking, yeah.
And one more trophy. See if you recognise this one. Oh, hello. What's that? Well, I know who put that in.
Europa League.
I'll tell you where I'd like to put that.
Good luck. It's a very big trophy.
Huge, that one.
Mr. Court, you've got a special guest. We should say at 9:20 this morning.
Yeah, Chris Boardman. We've got on just after 9 o'clock. Yeah. Legendary cyclist Chris Boardman.
Thank you very much indeed. Bill Rammell and Anna Firth. Anna Firth running through the papers very shortly. There they are. After we bring you the European holiday sun destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of summer warmth and sunny skies over the Mediterranean at the moment. A few thunderstorms brewing up over northern parts of Spain and temperatures on the rise in Italy. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands. Not too hot here as the breeze is coming down from the north. Temperatures ticking up in Rome into the mid-30s perhaps by the end of the week. There are those heavy showers across northern Spain, parts of northern Portugal also seeing some downpours. But Lisbon, I think, set fair and temperatures, as I said, rising into the mid-30s in Rome later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
To try and get rid of the St George's flag.
Well, firstly, I think a woke landing craft drove through our interview at 10 miles an hour. But answering your question, I was asked to change a whole bunch of things on that spring picture. And to this day, I don't know why. As I said previously, it was just selling very, very well. And all of a sudden, the skids hit, and I was told to remove several things for God knows why. It's been selling very well, so why would you want to change it? And to this day, I don't understand. Well, as the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, Mike, we see there the St George's flag. Let's get the next picture up. There's a saucy window cleaner halfway up the ladder there, peeking into a soap-covered, buxom young beauty. Presumably that's also anti-woke these days.
Well, I have to enjoy myself when I'm drawing something. I'll sit there drawing blokes all day.
So the person in the bath you made trans, fair enough. If you can't beat them, join them. And what about the Morris dancers? Well, they didn't even like Morris dancers, mate.
Yeah, the other thing is you've got to remember I live in Bognor Regis, so we're used to innuendo and lunacy.
So the fact of the matter is they censored your jigsaw, you told them to go and shove it. Do you think this is, you got a quick 30 seconds, any regrets on what you did?
No, not at all. I'm English, I'm very proud of my country. I don't care what anyone does. I don't want to join their club, but they're quite happy to do it. But I don't understand a professional suicide that company seemed to do by upsetting all the regulars that love doing my humour.
GB News. GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Here we've got Anna Firth, even, and we've got Bill Ramble, former Labour MP, here as well. Very good to see you guys. Anna, let's start with what's going on in America, in California.
Yeah, I mean, this is Trump, isn't it? This is straight out of the Trump playbook in the way that he's responding. Now, I mean, I think he's right. He's been elected with a massive mandate to tackle illegal immigration. He's right to take action. But this is the first time in 60 years that a US president has effectively sent in the troops against the wishes of the governor.
Was he right to do that, do you think, Anna?
Well, as I say, I think he's right to take strong action, but you should be doing this with the governor. You should.
Could you imagine that happening here? We're going to send in the troops to sort out all the illegal migrants.
Well, I actually think that we should be taking firmer action. I don't understand why we don't have the army involved down in Dover. Perhaps we do need to take a tougher approach. But this is straight out of the Trump playbook, isn't it? It's what he did in.
Bill, any lessons to learn from what's going on in California from Trump?
No, I don't think there is. I mean, look, I want to... if you've not got the right to stay, you're a failed asylum seeker, I want you removed from this country, you should be removed from the United States. But you've got to do it legally. And what concerns me about this is he's deliberately seeking confrontation. Anna's right. First time in 60 years, you bring in the National Guard against the wishes of the local governor. And Newsom is saying, look, we can handle this. And you read the reports, most of the demonstrations are peaceful, so they can handle the situation, but he wants a fight. I think he'll probably ultimately lose through the courts because he's using this power that there's a rebellion. Well, that's incredibly difficult to prove. But also, Anna and I were talking about this outside. There's a world of difference between the UK and the US. They have in the US what are called sanctuary cities, which effectively means the local authorities refuse to cooperate with the immigration authorities nationally. And you just wouldn't have that in this country.
No, you wouldn't.
And we don't want to see that in this country. And the other thing that we were discussing, and I really think this is the nub of the question with trying to remove illegal migrants, is where do you send them to?
Yeah,
we've got
the
to
big
solve
question.
that problem.
Anna, let's have a look at Thames Water, shall we?
What on earth's going on here?
So this is absolutely outrageous. This is an attempt by US creditors who want to restructure Thames Water for their own,
Right. So they're saying, give us a slice of Thames Water in return for what?
In return for a reprieve on the £123 million of fines that Ofwat fined Thames Water only last month. And they're saying, look, we're prepared to put more money in order to keep this afloat, but we don't want to pay any fines. Well, I'm sorry, that is completely outrageous. In the banking sector, fines are quite normal. They're often anti-money laundering fines. NatWest was fined about $265 million a couple of years ago. You don't have NatWest saying to the regulator, well, look, actually, we want to do some restructuring, so will you let us off the fines? No. The people, Thames Water, have got to take responsibility. What we really need to be doing is getting at the creditors who stripped them out in the first place. Now,
Well, they get off scot-free. The new ones move in and they say, look, we'll run it properly, but we don't want any fines.
Yeah, but the other problem, Eamonn, is with the bonuses. At the same time as they're saying to the regulator, we don't want to pay $123 million in fines, they have a plan for £18.5 million in bonuses to 21 executives. That's nearly £1 million.
But the government has just...
and that's a bonus.
But the government has just banned bonuses within the water industry, which I think is the right move.
Yeah.
I mean, water privatisation has been a disaster, but I actually take a more pragmatic view on this. Thames Water is atrocious. It needs capital investment. And either you do a deal and you write off some of the fines, or the government is going to have to take it over through renationalisation at a much, much higher cost. Now, I know people don't want to hear that.
So you're a deal man?
I think I would do a deal in these circumstances.
I see where you're coming from, Bill, but the problem with that is if the Ofwat does a deal with Thames Water, what message does it send to every other water company?
We can get away with it too.
Yeah, we can get away with it too. So
well, you have to fine them and you have to ban the bonuses.
Banning bonuses has got to be where you start. How can they possibly get a bonus and when they've delivered such an atrocious service?
Bill, tell us about retail shopping and the cutbacks going on there and why.
Well, actually, and it's a report in the Express, if you look at the detail of it, it actually shows retail sales overall still going up, and there was a big increase in April.
But I wonder why and how, who's spending?
Well, I mean, look, there's ups and downs. The reality is we are at the moment the fastest growing economy in the G7. And I think confidence and ability to spend is incremental. And if we continue to make more progress, I think people will spend more. Against that, there's this thing in the media and politics today that every government is wrong and you lambast it. And that does impact on public confidence. And I think that's what the government has got to push through.
But also, is that not just reality? Like, people don't have the pounds and pennies in their pockets.
I think it's tough
They're
for people.
feeling the pinch.
They are, but, since this government came to power, for the first time in about a decade, average incomes are outstripping price rises. And I think that is, so people will begin to feel that their incomes are going up and prices aren't going up.
No, you won't be surprised to hear that. I completely disagree with that. This is the government that promised not to put taxes up, that has put up national insurance, which means that small businesses are now either having to pay people less or not employing them. So of course people have got less spending power because some of them haven't got jobs.
Are you spending money? If so, what are you spending it on? Let us know. Have your say with us today. Bill and Anna, thank you both very much indeed. Back again in 40 minutes. Here's Alex with your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times, but much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter. And compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast and even inland. Some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast, that could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland, seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers, temperatures creeping up, more heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 eastbound at Junction 6 remains restricted due to a collision. Motorists are advised to proceed with caution. Planned maintenance activities on the A55 at Junction 23. A Pensan have resulted in the closure of the eastbound exit slip road and the westbound entry slip road. Additionally, in South Gloucestershire, the M48 westbound between Junction 1 and Junction 2 is affected by lane closures. For rail travellers, cross-country industrial action and disruptions between Gloucester and Cardiff Central are ongoing. Great Western Railway services are also impacted on this route. Stay up to date at gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Oh my God. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
The GB News
newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The biggest U-turn of the government so far as the Chancellor reverses her controversial winter fuel cuts.
Today I can announce that this winter 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
Well, all pensioners earning under £35,000 will receive payments from next winter.
But who will foot the bill involved? £1.25 billion.
That's right. It's a very good question. Who will foot the bill? Because the Chancellor isn't yet answering that question. What happened to that £22 billion black hole? How is this going to be paid for?
Civil unrest in Los Angeles. Donald Trump sends 2,000 more National Guards to the front line as he hits out at California's Governor Gavin Newsom.
He's an incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it.
Chaos in Northern Ireland. Riots have broken out in Ballymena after two 14-year-old boys appeared in court following a sexual assault on a teenage girl.
Greta goes home. Greta Thunberg and her fellow activists arrive at Ben Gurion Airport in Israel ahead of being deported.
If you live in York, you're probably up in arms after the council has raised the hourly cost of parking by not 100, not 200, 500%, OK? Find out just how much it costs slightly later in the programme.
The glorious summer holiday season is upon us, but how can you bag yourself a bargain and save cash in the process? We're finding out just that at 8:20 this morning.
And in sport this morning, Wales come back from 3 down against Belgium to get to 3-3, then eventually lose 4-3 in a thriller against Belgium in Brussels. Thomas Frank is now on the verge of becoming the new Spurs manager. And pickle juice. Everybody's talking about pickle juice. Why it's the choice of athletes.
A brighter day in the north today, a dull day across parts of the south. Over the next few days, though, for all of us, the temperatures and the humidity will be rising. Join me later for a full forecast.
Very good to see you on this Tuesday morning. Whoever you're watching, whoever you're listening, you're very welcome. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, the Chancellor has been ridiculed after U-turning on one of her first decisions to cut winter fuel payments for the majority of pensioners. Well, pensioners in England and Wales will now have their £300 payments reinstated as long as they earn less than £35,000 a year.
So Rachel Reeves turned the blame on what her party inherited from the previous government. When she spoke yesterday, this is what she had to say.
We had to make difficult decisions last year. The public finances were in a total mess when I became Chancellor last summer, and we had to take immediate action to get control and get a grip of the public finances. We have been able to do that. We've returned stability to the economy. In the first quarter of this year, our economy was the fastest growing in all of the G7, which now means we're able to make different choices. And that's why today I can announce that this winter, 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
Well, Andrew Griffith is the Shadow Trade Secretary, and I'm delighted to say we can talk to him now this morning. Andrew, for Rachel Reeves, sorry seems to be the hardest word.
Yeah, and it just shows what a bad decision it was. I mean, there's no credit for, stealing someone, mugging their wallet, letting them shiver through the winter, something that pushes lots of pensioners into poverty, potentially increase the death rate amongst some, and then a year later saying, oh, by the way, on the back of a fictitious idea she's improved the economy, she's made the economy far worse. We've seen today unemployment figures showing that there's almost 100,000 people fewer on payroll employees than there were a year ago. The rate of unemployment is rising, just as interest rates and many other economic metrics. So it would be good if she'd said sorry. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. A terrible Chancellor. She's made a series of catastrophic decisions, even in her first year in office. And what a shower of a government that they're doing these U-turns. All governments hit bumps in the road. The one I was part of certainly did that. But to do that on something that was so premeditated after such a short period of time really shows they're in chaos.
Well, you heard the Chancellor there blame the inheritance that your government left. She says the public finances were in a total mess and she had to take immediate action. Is that something that you accept?
No, and look, we all know people in life that, every single thing they blame on somebody else. I'm sad to say that is the quality, the calibre of the Chancellor we've got. The OBR never found any evidence of any black holes. Of course there's spending pressures, but you know what? If the biggest issue is that you're trying to put the public finances on a surer footing, then don't go on the sort of spending spree that this Chancellor has done. She's going to announce tomorrow that this government is borrowing record amounts, adding to the national debt. We're already paying $100 billion a year, much more than the defence budget, on interest costs alone. Now, some of that was the aftermarket of the after effects of COVID, and we were starting to turn that round. Inflation was falling. We'd got the public finances on a better footing. She came into office, took money away from pensioners, gave it to expensively paid train drivers, and has since gone on a public spending spree.
She was talking tough yesterday. She was sounding tough, but with no answers. There's £1.25 billion of a black hole to fill in lieu of the money she was taking from these winter fuel payments. So if I have savings, if I have shares, if I have a house, if I have inheritance, if I'm part of Middle England, should I be worried about where she's coming to find that money?
Be afraid, be very afraid, because the one thing that there's no doubt this week is that taxes will be going up. This Chancellor will be back in the autumn budget to take more of your money, put more people out of work through their red tape and the jobs tax, and to try and erode your savings and pensions. Every socialist government does that. They want to put more and more money into an unreformed public sector. Yesterday was just a down payment, the cost of returning people's winter fuel allowance, which should never have been taken in the first place.
Are you satisfied with the threshold as it is now? So pensioners earning less than £35,000 will be entitled to winter fuel. Is that enough, or should it be reinstated for all?
Well, it's another attack on people who've tried to do the right thing, tried to make provision for themselves in their retirement. I think, as a Conservative, those are good things. And in this whole debate, I don't think you get too religious about means testing some benefits, but there's also a role for the universality, both to put things back and also to make sure that people don't miss out. Now, ultimately, what we want is a society in which people keep more of what they earn, taxes are enduringly lower, and our economy can grow faster as a consequence. But
how would
the way the government has gone about this U-turn...
Sorry, Andrew, I was just trying to elicit from you how you would fill the deficit that she's faced with, 1.25 billion. So you say what she shouldn't do or what she's going to go out and do and how she's going to take money from people. How would you fill that hole? How would you raise money?
Eamonn, there's lots of ways. I mean, the first thing is we would have a very, very different approach to welfare, both in terms of reducing the rate of growth. The Labour are having a big debate, tearing themselves apart right now, but only to reduce the rate of growth, not to stop that welfare bill growing each and every year. It's one reason why they won't commit to the defence budget that we badly need. So a big debate about welfare, reducing the size of the state, cutting red tape, taking a chainsaw to many of the regulators, and as a result, seeing our economy growing faster and generating more wealth for everybody.
Can I ask you about the burqa ban row after Sarah Pochin asked about a potential ban on the burqa at PMQs last week? There's been a much wider conversation since. Kemi Badenoch saying she would support bosses having the right to ban staff from wearing burqas and other face coverings in the workplace. What do you make of that? Do you think it is a workplace issue?
Look, I wouldn't use the clunking fist of the law to try and, ban a particular type of dress. I think there are real concerns, and in spaces that are regulated like the workplace, like members of parliament surgeries, probably like parliament itself, there's a role for whoever is regulating those spaces to decide what those dress codes are, just as we have uniforms in school. Many people at work wear a particular dress code and a uniform, and of course, we all want to be able to look each other in the eye, in the face. But as a Conservative Liberal, I don't think it's the job of the state to go around banning things, whether it's a particular dress code, whether it's a type of advert on television.
Well, Andrew Griffith, thanks for looking us in the eye this morning. Appreciate your answers. Andrew Griffith is the Shadow Trade Secretary. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. So we say goodbye to Andrew, and we say hello to Dougie Beattie in Belfast this morning, because just outside Belfast, 40 miles outside Belfast, a town called Ballymena, vicious violence there last night. Dougie Beattie's going to tell us what that was all about. Dougie.
Well, Eamonn, as you know, Northern Ireland has, like any other part of the UK, taken an awful lot of immigrants and migrants in, and it's made much worse by, of course, the Republic of Ireland. There is no border in Northern Ireland, and a lot of those illegal immigrants have came across the border because they get into the UK. We are, of course, part of the UK, and then they get all the benefits, etc., that are set there. Now, as you know, and I know, growing up in Northern Ireland, there is still a lot of what they call social justice in Northern Ireland. Those groups, those paramilitaries that were left behind from the Troubles, and when society here doesn't get answers in those working class areas, they tend to go to those groups to look for social justice. Now, that could be anything from burning out houses to kneecapping people, and you and I, again, both know what kneecapping is, and for an English audience, we'll explain it. They put a gun to the back of your knees and they shoot your kneecaps out. That is all social justice. And unfortunately in Northern Ireland, over the last 2 to 3 years, a lot of the illegal migrants have been pushed into what was formerly working class areas. And those working class areas, like anywhere across the UK, have generations of families living in the same areas. And what has happened is the normal people that were there, the indigenous people were there, can now not get social housing. And anything that kicks off, it only takes something very small to cause real trouble. And for those people that are looking social justice to get that, it's a small spark that happens. And unfortunately for the migrants that are behaving themselves, that are looking after and keeping themselves to themselves, they end up in a whole pile of trouble. So over the last year or so, and I reported on this last year, that any sexual assaults or anything else that is said to be from the migrant community, they will look for justice very quickly, and they will decide to take the law into their own hands. And this is what has happened last night over allegations of sexual assault.
And the allegations were made against 2 underage boys, we understand?
Yes, and we believe there is a third one that currently hasn't been arrested. Those two boys, I believe, appeared in court and pleaded not guilty to this. And there was a protest, a peaceful protest, organised by the girl's father, we believe, outside the town. That went down very peacefully. But that some of the anger from that spilled over into a social housing estate, and well, what we've seen was the smashing of property, the burning of houses, and really it's something that the people behind us must really look at and say, these MLAs behind us must say, where are we putting these migrants, not only for the safety of the migrants, but also for the communities that are there. These communities in Northern Ireland are still pretty much divided, although it is a lot more peaceful than it was in the 70s and 80s. But unlike other parts of England, without getting into this in a bad way, and I'm trying to be diplomatic about this, Eamonn, there will be ramifications of those, especially against women. Women in Northern Ireland are held at a very high esteem, and that is, and always has been, a no-no here. And yeah, it will cause quite a bit of civil unrest. I expect fully in the next few nights we'll see more of this across other social housing areas.
For touching on the intricacies of all of that, Dougie, really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. That was the latest the situation rioting on the streets in Ballymena last night. You were quite taken aback to have kneecapping explained to you.
Yeah, I hadn't understood that before until Dougie explained that to us.
Really thought about it.
And then the banned kneecap, I assume, comes from that phrase as well.
Well, that's what makes them so controversial as well.
I see.
And kneecapping is a form of social justice. You know, carried out by paramilitaries. You know, you break the codes, and in those areas, you know, I mean, army chiefs and things would make out that, you know, there are no such things as no-go areas in Northern Ireland. But of course there are, and they are policed by paramilitaries, either loyalist paramilitaries or Republican paramilitaries, less so than it used to be, of course, but those organisations still exist with support from the communities that they are in. So made more complex by the fact that we've now got migrants who are coming in who are not Catholic, who are not Protestant, who are not defined by the normal parameters in Northern Ireland, all adds to the complication there. 16 minutes past the hour. Your views welcome. Have your say.
Now let's get a check on the weather with Alex Deacon.
Expect a warm front moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times. But much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter. And compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast and even inland. Some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast, that could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland, seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers, temperatures creeping up. More heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now we're counting down to your best summer yet, with £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it could go your way.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and you could win it. £54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
£54,321 could make you our biggest cash winner to date. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now do stay with us till to come. All the tips and tricks to save big on your summer holiday this year. That's next.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
CAS review, which was last March, April, a very accomplished paediatrician, Baroness Cass, who effectively said, we've got to stop giving children who think they might be trans, rushing them into treatment, avoiding them having pills that can change their body. And now it seems the NHS is still treating nursery-age children. Nursery age. These are toddlers who believe they're transgender. Now, they're not giving them any drugs, but the mere idea. Why are mum and dad even going along with it?
It's things like a boy that wants to wear dresses and play with dolls.
Let him.
It's things like a girl who wants to kick a football and maybe have her hair short. And the problem is, I think the parents are the ones behind this, obviously. You either say, this is normal, and children play around with gender roles as they have done since the beginning of time. You don't march them off to the doctor and get their heads looked at by a psychiatrist. And why are they doing it? Well, because they are reading that it's normal now, they're confused, they lack confidence as parents to say no.
Well, apparently, the health service had set a minimum age of 7 for children to be seen by specialist gender clinics. I think that's too young, frankly. 7,
unbelievable.
Far too young. Claiming anything else less was just too young. But that limit's now been removed after the proposal was put up to consultation. And you know why? Because the wretched trans lobby have lobbied and put pressure on the NHS. So you've now got 3-year-olds being talked to about their gender. For God's sake, what are we doing to our children?
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdley, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At
GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, we all love a summer holiday, don't we? And we deserve them as well, because we work hard.
Well, you see, I don't go with this idea that it's everybody's right to have a summer holiday.
Oh, I do.
But, yeah, well, you take enough of them, don't you? Just back last night.
That's true.
From one.
That was my hen do, though.
I don't think I'll have one this year.
No.
And part of the reason is it's just money down the drain. It's just, you know, once you don't have the responsibility of kids, it's difficult to sort of think about doing it for yourself. I know you wouldn't find it difficult, but it should be. And the thing is, how do you do it? I mean, you've got to save, you've got to scrimp, you've got to think about it.
Yeah, because it costs a small fortune, doesn't it, to go away on holiday, let's be honest.
I think so. So we're joined now by consumer expert Greg Marsh. Greg, I'm painting a bit of a dreary picture of
It's been a bar humbug.
Well, it's a massive outlay, Greg, really. And you got to think, do I get a new car? Do I get a new house? Whatever I do, how safe is my job? Whatever. And to go on holiday is a big outlay.
Big outlay, big stress as well for families. In 95% of UK families, let's call it what it is. It's the woman who does most of the work. Did you know that? It's mum usually who worries about how much we're going to spend, where are we going to go, and she's worried about trying to make sure everyone has a good time, because it's not just about the money. It's the 1 week or 2 weeks where you got everyone together, the kids are out. Everyone's committed to making sure it's a good experience. Average UK family spends nearly 10% of their take-home pay on their main holiday in a year, between 5 and 10%. So about a month of sort of after-tax income, average family. It's a big commitment. It's a very, very big deal. And it's very easy to spend a bit more than that or spend too much and end up, with a wonderful holiday that you remember forever, but also something which you're, recovering from for many months.
So how do we bag a bargain?
Well, yeah, the usual tips apply. So the rule of threes, around, if you plan ahead, right, you've got a budget in mind, so you've got to come up with a number that you believe you really can afford. Think about a third of that is going to be the cost of getting there, about a third of that's going to be accommodation, and about a third of it's going to be on-the-ground costs. Don't forget all the things you'll want to do when you arrive, day trips and meals out and, sort of souvenirs and things like that. Now, those proportions will vary. If it's a staycation or a trip nearer to home, you're probably spending less on your transport and more on the trip itself. But the opposite applies if it's a longer journey, a long-haul flight, if you're going to see relatives or planning something more exotic. Now, when it comes to planning itself, here there are tools that can help you. What my tip at the moment is to use tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity. The latter is particularly interesting because you can use it for free to use a feature called Deep Research, which sounds very grand. But what you can do is you can say to it, look, we're going to go to this place or approximately this area. This is our budget. Show us the options. And it will go and do 100 searches for you and come back with really detailed advice and guidance. Saves you hours of looking around and avoids that sort of row over the kitchen table about where we're going to go this year. So that's another really simple top tip. The other thing, of course, I have to say is holidays are expensive. So can you find a bit of money behind the sofa to help pay for them? Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention mybusinessnow.co, which finds an average family more than £500 in bills that you could spend less on. So that might help a little bit towards the cost of your family trip.
And do you think people need to be flexible in terms of location when they're looking for their summer holidays, and they might get a bargain that way as well?
Exactly. So the kinds of things when you're thinking about the type of trip, If you could travel with a larger group, you'll often find big savings. You might rent a larger place rather than paying for hotel rooms for the family. Rewards programs, if you're part of those. Consider things like all-inclusive holidays. Again, often a way to save quite significant amounts versus if you were buying all the bits and pieces yourself, or of course self-catering options and things like that. And I've mentioned staycationing. Don't rule it out. Yes, it's true that it's lovely to get overseas when the weather is fine, but the weather's also pretty lovely in the UK. It's a lovely time to visit the coast, especially as the weather improves during the summer, and that really can significantly bring down the cost of your holiday once you take into account things like flights and airport transfer costs and so on. Be flexible. Be willing to book at the last minute if you can face the stress of it. You often get the best deals on airline flights if you book them much earlier, or really at the last minute. But of course, that also creates the risk that you might not trip you wanted. So
if it's not nerve-wracking
6 of one,
enough.
half a dozen of the other.
Thanks, Greg. Really appreciate your take on things. A few good tips there for people to take on board. We've got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. I can remember a time when you went on holiday and you had to come back with jugs and plates and various things, souvenirs. People don't really get souvenirs now, do they?
Probably don't have the luggage space, to be honest.
Exactly.
Or just hand
but you've
luggage.
a luggage space to go to duty free, haven't you?
Always.
You've enough.
But
Never.
carve out the time.
Never go to duty free.
Yeah, it's because you're a man. It's all the girly things in duty free. It's like heaven. Now, talking about travel, if you were travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A85 south of Tynuilt has restrictions due to maintenance, so plan for longer travel times. The A55 westbound slip roads at junction 23A Penzance are closed for maintenance. In South Gloucestershire, the M4 eastbound has one lane closed, but normal conditions are anticipated shortly. The M25 clockwise in Greater London has 3 out of 6 lanes closed due to a broken down vehicle. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services from Gloucester to Cardiff Central may face delays due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Belgium beat Wales in a very dramatic World Cup qualifier.
Very dramatic.
We're going to find out more with Paul Coit next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30am.
Only on GB News.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's time for the latest sports news. Paul Coyte's with us. Morning.
Good morning. England play tonight. It's a friendly. I wonder how many people are going to be really interested in it. It's 19th place. I mean, Senegal they play, who are no slouches. They're 19th in the world. I think it may surprise some people. They've got some really good players. Plays at the City Ground in Nottingham. So that's tonight. They're Les Lions de Teranga. The Lions of Teranga.
Oh.
They're known as. World Cup quarter-finalists, 2002. The other fact that I found out about Senegal that I really liked is the fact that they have never lost to Brazil. Played twice, they've won one and drawn one. So
that's
there you go.
quite good going.
It needs to get better, but Thomas Tuchel, it needs to be better. Not a good performance against Andorra, 1-1-0, but to keep everybody on side, they need a good result tonight. That's,
well, you mentioned the England manager there. What about the incoming Spurs manager, Thomas Frank? We talked about him last time round, but what way does he play? What can you expect from him?
He likes... See, the thing is, it would suit a Spurs way, the way that Spurs have always wanted to play. It's an attacking football, very passing football. He loves the old Barcelona sides, he's a good football manager. It's not a sit back, it's not a go crazy, but he's a good football manager.
That's music to your ears, right?
It really, I mean, the thing is, it should work. I say that, who knows? But he's done extremely well at Brentford. So he's taken them up into the Premier League, which had been unheard of at Brentford. And they've been there for 5 seasons now. So he's looking, well, I mean, Spurs have approached them. £10 million compensation will go to Brentford, which may sound like a lot of money, but in footballing terms, if you're going to buy a player, it's nothing, is it? It's nothing at all. So if it works, it looks like it's going to happen
Depends
today.
how they spend it, who they're going to get.
Well, it may even... You've got Brian Mbeumo, who is really good at Brentford. Looked like he's going to Manchester United. But now that Thomas Frank's gone in at Spurs, who knows that maybe they'll hijack that, but they're talking about 250 grand a week at Manchester United. And Spurs are unlikely to pay that much, where he's on £50,000 a week at the moment. You know, it's all big money, but it's all nobody's going to make any decisions on players until the manager's in. So I expect that's probably going to happen today.
Postecoglou for Brentford.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Don't think that's...
Good spot. Balticanu. It's the new thing.
Balticanu, yeah, a little tennis. That's at Queen's Club, women's tennis. First time in 52 years at Queen's Club. Katie Bolter and Emma Raducanu are playing together. So it's got your Balticanu. Won their first game. Played in the newly christened Andy Murray Arena. 6-4, 6-2 victory against Wufeng Xian and Jiang Zhanyu. And but I tell you, there's one piece of tennis that I want to show you again, and this is Coco Gauff after she won the French Open. Now, I didn't think either trophy, you know, we did a thing about trophies. They're not really iconic-looking trophies. But she got a miniature version of the women's singles trophy. So have a look at this, and this is what she posted yesterday.
Hi, I just won French Open for Roland Garros.
heroes, and this is the trophy that you guys see, the one that we take pictures with, do press with, and all that. But actually, we don't get to take this home. This stays with the tournament, and I'm going to show you guys the one we take home. It's a lot smaller.
So the take-home trophy, there it is. It looks like a Subbuteo trophy, doesn't it?
Oh, it's fun-size trophy.
It is fun size. I mean, look at that. It does not look that impressive, does
Is it
it?
metal or is it plastic?
It looks like that bottom bit is a bit plastic. You can imagine they can sort of unscrew it. You know, when you used to get a trophy at school and they'd all start falling to pieces. So that's what Coco Gauff goes home with, although she's probably made about £2 million out of it.
We want to mention Billy Boston. Billy Boston's an important man. He's 90 years of age, and this is, I find, disappointing, but anyway, well done, Billy. Billy's becoming the first rugby league player, the first black rugby league player to be knighted on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that happens today. So he's been announced as being knighted. There he is. He played for Wigan. 488 games for Wigan from 1953 to 1968. A real pioneer, first black rugby league player, and extremely successful as well. He's got a statue in Wigan, and as you say, the first rugby league player to be knighted.
Incredible.
So it's 100 years ago, rugby union players were knighted, but we know why, don't we? Because it was always a different class would play rugby union. It was the posh ones that would be playing more rugby union, and rugby league was more the working man's game up north. So anyway, congratulations to him.
Quick word about pickle juice.
Oh yeah.
Making me sick even thinking about it.
This is what everybody's going to be buying. Everybody's going to be drinking. It sounds disgusting.
It does.
Carlos Alcaraz was drinking it at the weekend. Yannick Sinner. You got other footballers take it as well. Now this pickle juice, it's used. The reason it's all salty and pickly and it's for endurance. It's the sodium potassium that replenishes the electrolytes, that eases the cramps. So it's 40% quicker to work than drinking water if you have the pickle juice. So if you could drink it and you're happy with it, which a lot of professionals are, it stops the cramping. And trust me now, if you see the professionals using it, you go to the gym, everybody's going to be walking in with their pickle juice.
I think I'd put up with the cramps.
Yeah, you'd rather have the cramp than the pickle juice.
Thank you very much indeed. We say hello, good morning to Bill Rammel and Anna Firth, and they're running through the newspapers very, very shortly after we show you the European destinations where the sun is shining.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Plenty of summer warmth and sunny skies over the Mediterranean at the moment. A few thunderstorms brewing up over northern parts of Spain and temperatures on the rise in Italy. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands. Not too hot here as the breeze is coming down from the north. Temperatures ticking up in Rome into the mid-30s perhaps by the end of the week. There are those heavy showers across northern Spain, parts of northern Portugal also seeing some downpours. But Lisbon, I think, set fair and temperatures, as I said, rising into the mid-30s in Rome later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, so I got the news on 4th of April, right in between GB Team Selection Series, which hurt even more because I was leading in the points. But all of a sudden, I get a phone call being told you're banned from attending any Poly UK premises, banned from speaking with your teammates or staff, which was the most brutal part of it, and suspended, or whatever word you want to use.
I think, though, Kurt, that, posting subscription-only saucy content online might get you in a little bit of trouble, or did it not cross your mind?
No, for sure. But I want to make it clear that I have tried things in the past. I've been living life on the edge so many years. We moved from Latvia in 2010, been living life on the edge since then, done everything from working freelance long into the long nights, working at the Amazon warehouse. I have seeked out other alternatives, but in December last year, I got to a point, a realization where I thought, is it worth it, or can I find an alternative? And I knew of other GB athletes doing it. I didn't think it was going to cause outrage like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking, you know, a nice chap like you, who's obviously very talented with your sport, you could make some money doing, you know, like online fitness training or personal training and things like that don't involve, you know, getting your kit off.
No, for sure. I've been making content for like 6-7 years now. Over 1,000 of the pieces of content have been inspirational, motivational. I've visited over 30 schools in the UK, going to the hardest parts of the UK, inspiring kids from underprivileged backgrounds to get into sport. I've tried that, but I don't know. I found that in this day and age, unless you are smart or find some little controversial thing you can hold on to, it's going to be hard to get attention and sponsorship.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
My two favourite newspaper reviewers, Anna Firth and Bill Rammell, here this morning. I say that every day, but anyway,
we mean it today.
We mean it today. Bill, we're going to begin. Nigel Farage had a lot to say about Wales yesterday.
Yeah.
Welsh elections next year. He fancies getting his foot in the door there, doesn't he?
He does, but I mean, this story. I grew up going on marches for the miners, feeding them in my own house against Margaret Thatcher closing the pits. Farage is on the record saying, I supported Margaret Thatcher. She was right on the pit closures. They may have caused a little pain for some, but it had to happen. This is sickening hypocrisy to now be saying that he's in favour of reopening coal mines in Wales. You can't turn the clock back. The cost would be colossal to reopen the mines, and this is just cynical posturing.
Yeah, I totally agree with Bill on this, because actually a lot of these mines have been flooded. A lot of them have been permanently sealed. Housing estates have been built on top of them. So this is pure populism.
Even the blast furnaces, I'm not sure they can reverse those either.
And what he should be doing, there was a brilliant MP called Virginia Crosby, who was the MP for Innis Mon, and she was campaigning for a new modular nuclear reactor called Wilfer. He should be embracing new technology and jobs of the future. All that Farage wants to do is take us back to the 1950s, and this is the latest example of it.
Right, Anna, let's stay with you, shall we? Look at the Daily Mail. Horrific story about a man who killed 2 of his then-girlfriend's cats. Tell us about this.
This caught my eye for a number of reasons. Firstly, because I think wanton cruelty like this to animals, it has no place in our modern society, and we should throw the book at him.
What does it say about him?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the second reason it worries me is that we know there is a strong correlation now between domestic abuse of partners and domestic abuse of animals. He's 3. It's not just one. He wasn't lashing out once. This was systematic. Killed the first one, killed the second one. He would have killed the third one, but luckily she was rescued, found terrified under a kitchen cabinet. Where will he go next? The next step is likely to be actually attacking a partner or a woman.
But what he did within the story, he not only attacked the pets, he attacked his partner as well.
Yeah, there's torture involved in this, and why wouldn't he have got a custodial sentence?
Well, I think that's a real question. I mean, look, I think, cruelty to animals is abominable. He got a suspended sentence because the judge said... And I hesitate to intervene on court cases because you don't have the full picture when you're just reading the case. But allegedly, the judge only gave a suspended sentence because he was immature and he had mental health problems. if that's the only reason, I'm sorry, he deserved a custodial sentence.
Absolutely, because it would cause distress to his parents, apparently. Well, what about the distress for his girlfriend and these and the
owners of these pets?
I mean, he got a 15. I mean, the good thing is he's been banned from having any pets of his own for 20 years. But in a way, they weren't his pets, so that's actually not much use. 15 months is a long suspended sentence, but I actually think it would have been better for him to have had a shorter sentence, but actually to have served some of it.
Yeah. Bill, what is the relationship like between the Home Secretary and the Chancellor? This is Rachel Reeves and Yvette Cooper.
Yeah, look, I think it's a good one, but spending reviews are tough processes. As a minister, I went through 3 of them. And, you know, you do tough battles with the Treasury. Having said that, Yvette Cooper has come out with a real terms increase, as I understand it, in police funding, which is good news. But she's got to make efficiencies in other areas. And I actually think there is a case for efficiencies within the police service. You know,
Where would you cut back?
Well, we have 43 police forces in this country, which means you've got a back office infrastructure for every one of those forces.
Where
you
this
could merge and reform.
So you've got 43 forces or services pitching for cars, but, you know, doubling up on stuff that they all should be buying singularly from one market.
Yeah. And I think that's long overdue. But bluntly, and we've seen some of it in the recent days, the police lobby is very, very strong, and they put pressure on ministers of whichever government not to reform.
I tell you, one place in which they could save some money: stop spending thousands and thousands of man-hours looking at non-crime hate incidents.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Look, you know, that. But I think this is a bit of fun, this story, isn't it? Because obviously every cabinet member that worth their salt will be having a row with the Chancellor in the run-up to a spending review. But when I saw this, I thought, well, what a shame it's Yvette Cooper who's on resignation watch. It really should be Rachel Reeves.
I think she will be.
She's the one who should be resigning.
Well, you know, you say that. We were saying outside, I find it amazing Eddie's now a national treasure. My experience in government, he was the hardest so-and-so to negotiate with that you could find.
Really? Do you think there's a reshuffle coming soon?
I think there'll be a reshuffle in the summer. I don't think Rachel Reeves will be moved. I think you appoint chancellors for at least a 5-year parliament.
And the problem is that Starmer has so publicly stated time after time that she's there for the duration. I think he's stuck with her.
Well, he's hitched his wagon to hers, hasn't he?
And I think that is a big problem for him, because I think she's, you know, one of the most incompetent chancellors that we've ever had, and she's only been in it a year.
Anna, what's your view? This is front page of the Star today, and it says folklore is now a go-to for many Britons seeking meaning in their lives, and we talk about folklore like King Arthur, Robin Hood, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting story, isn't it? I mean, first of all, it says that religious attendance is falling, where actually there's quite a lot of studies now to show that actually it's going up. People are actually going back to church, which I actually happen to think is a good thing.
Yeah, especially young people.
Yeah, especially young people. But you know, Robin Hood was such a childhood, you know, favourite of mine. I mean, we used to watch it every week. I remember loving the Robin Hood books. So I don't think there's. I mean, I think replacing religion with fictional figures is not the way to go. But you know, come on, children have got to have these role models and these, you know, fictional figures. There's nothing wrong with Robin Hood as far as I'm concerned.
It's about identity. Look, you know, I describe myself as a Christian, but I'm not a churchgoer. And actually, I think the figures are about only 12% of people go to church these days. I think it varies. You know, amongst the evangelicals, there's been a growth.
And Catholicism?
Yeah, and I'm a lapsed Catholic.
There you go.
Catholicism. But I think religion gives an identity and a framework to people's lives. And with the loss of formalised religion, I think people look to other issues, and I think this may be part of it.
Well, if people are looking to the skies, we see here the spread of deliberate fakery. Tell us about this, Bill. The Daily Mail are reporting this today.
Yeah, this goes back to the Cold War, where they deliberately put out fake pictures of flying saucers to conceal a classified weapons programme. And in fact, it only stopped relatively recently. I think if you go back to the Cold War, there was all sorts of misinformation that was put out by the authorities. I don't think you would get away with it today. because I think the media scrutiny, the public scrutiny, is so much greater. But yeah, fascinating that actually happens.
But you say you don't get away with it today, Bill. Honestly, I switch on Instagram and I just get fakery, fake airline crashes, UFOs, is this, isn't it, whatever. It's now so good, they're replicated so well, you couldn't actually tell whether it's real or not, what you're looking at, and therefore you just assume, well, it's all false.
Yeah, well, I think that's a real problem of our age. And not only is there a lot of fabricated fake news out there, but people believe, whatever crazy stuff and conspiracy theories that they read on the internet.
That is so true. I was reading a book on holiday about the advent of the printing press and how they found that when the printing press arrived, the big problem was people printing fake things in it. And what do you do? And it's a fundamental to democracy that people, when they are speaking in public and writing things down, that they actually know what they're talking about, and we are losing that. But on the fake thing, I mean, I'm even more concerned about the AI.
Yeah, well, it's so sophisticated already, isn't it?
You can do a fake.
So hard to know.
You can actually put out something, and it's the real person, and it's their voice.
Yeah, it could be you sitting there. We could run 5 minutes of you, and it's not you at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. But there we go. But it does fascinate me. I wonder, do they put this stuff out to counteract the fact that this stuff really does exist? And it's not. I wouldn't dismiss it. But I'm very interested in it. I've yet to see stuff that convinces me one way or the other. But there we go.
Like the Loch Ness monster, isn't it?
Well, that's
Anna and Bill, thank you very
lovely
much.
talking to you, Anna. Thank you very much indeed for today.
Let's get a check on the weather now, shall we, with Alex Deacon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times. But much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter. And compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast and even inland. Some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast, that could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland, seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers, temperatures creeping up. More heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A broken down vehicle on the A725 northbound at Wraith Interchange is causing restrictions. Approach with caution. In Derbyshire, the A38 southbound is down to one lane between the junctions with the A610 and the A61 due to a collision. Conditions will improve by 10:07. Motorists on the M40 northbound in Oxfordshire face 50-minute delays between junction 10 and 11, easing by 9:51. And on the trains, cross-country industrial action affects journeys between Gloucester and Cardiff Central, impacting Great Western Railway services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The biggest U-turn of this government yet as the Chancellor reverses her controversial winter fuel cuts.
Today I can announce that this winter 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
As she's talking about all pensioners earning under £35,000, they will get the payments in the winter. But who will foot the £1.25 billion bill? This is what Andrew Griffith, the Shadow Trade Secretary, had to say.
And it just shows what a bad decision it was. I mean, there's no credit for, stealing someone, mugging their wallet, letting them shiver through the winter, something that pushes lots of pensioners into poverty.
Yes, a Chancellor under pressure. How will she pay for this? Who fits the bill? And what happened to that £22 billion black hole?
Civil unrest in Los Angeles. Donald Trump sends 2,000 more National Guards to the front line as he hits out at California's Governor Gavin Newsom.
He's an incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it.
Greta goes home. Israel releases new photos of Greta Thunberg on a plane headed back to her home nation of Sweden.
Chaos in Northern Ireland as riots break out after 2 14-year-old boys appeared in court following a sexual assault on a teenage girl.
Residents of York are up in arms after a council raised the hourly cost of parking by 500%. We'll give you the total bill later.
Yes, we're here on Bishopthorpe Road in York at their car park, where prices have gone from 80p an hour to £4.85. We'll be speaking to locals and businesses about the impact that this is going to have on them.
Olympic cycling champion Chris Boardman sits down with us ahead of the Tour de France.
A brighter day in the north today, a dull day across parts of the south. Over the next few days, though, for all of us, the temperatures and the humidity will be rising. Join me later for a full forecast.
Hello there, good to see you on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We showed pictures of Greta Thunberg put on a plane from Israel back home to Sweden. Graham says, and this reflects what a lot of you are saying this morning, Israel has basically shown us how to deal with people who turn up on your shores in a boat, unwanted. Bring them straight to the airport and put them on a plane back home.
Well, the Israelis made those activists, including Greta Thunberg, sit down and watch the footage from October the 7th, the Hamas massacre which took place then. We are hearing reports this morning that Greta Thunberg actually refused to watch that footage. Not sure if that's true yet, but if so, not good. Not good at all. Politics. Sasha says, I wish AI would make it possible for Starmer, Reeves and co to live the day-to-day lives of the ordinary people that their ridiculous decisions affect.
Yeah. Patrick says the simple thing Labour did, they thought pensioners could be thrown under the bus, not realising the youth and the middle voters would quickly turn on them. Just shows how little they understand the people of these lands. And Jess says, instead of hard-working taxpayers having to have more of their wages taken, the government should stop keeping illegals in a life of luxury at our expense. Think of how much that would save.
Yeah, Noho says Labour may promise cuts in public spending, but it will never happen in practice. Public spending in real terms after inflation will be higher in 2029 than when they took office, guaranteed.
Well, the Chancellor is ridiculed after U-turning on one of her first decisions to cut those winter fuel payments for the majority of pensioners. So if you're a pensioner in England and Wales, you'll now have £300 payment reinstated as long as you earn less than 35 grand a year.
Well, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, turned the blame on what her party inherited from the previous government when she spoke yesterday.
We had to make difficult decisions last year. The public finances were in a total mess when I became Chancellor last summer, and we had to take immediate action to get control and get a grip of the public finances. We have been able to do that. We've returned stability to the economy. In the first quarter of this year, our economy was the fastest growing in all of the G7, which now means we're able to make different choices. And that's why today I can announce that this winter, 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
How are you going to pay for that, Chancellor? Where are you getting this money from? 1.25, £1.25 billion. That's what it's going to cost you. Let's go to our national reporter, Adam Cherry. Adam's in Westminster this morning. You got any answers from me, Adam?
Well, it looks like it'll end up being tax rises in the autumn at the budget. Now, that's not confirmed. That is a bit of Westminster gossip and speculation. But if it's not coming from additional borrowing, then where's it really coming from? It's not as if you just heard the Chancellor then. What she said there, I'm afraid, doesn't quite make contact with reality. How does she define stability? Borrowing costs are up, inflation is up, unemployment, as we've seen today, is up. So where is that £22 billion hole gone? Has it been totally closed? And when you ask Downing Street about this, I asked last week about this, you don't really get any firm answers other than pointing towards 4 interest rate cuts, OK, and as you heard the Chancellor there, the highest growth in the G7. Well, just wait for the more recent forecast. And as I said, look at the other data, which I think doesn't paint a particularly rosy picture. So, therefore, when it comes to the autumn, I think we're in for more pain. This is a political choice. This is not an economic one. This is, I think, a Chancellor backed into a corner by her own backbenchers, who are all on slim majorities and fear for their own seats and are seeing their mailbox pile up with criticism. And also, of course, the local election drubbing, in which they significantly underperformed. Both of those combine, and you end up with someone who's making an emergency U-turn despite not really having addressed the fundamental problems that caused her to make that decision in the first place.
OK, Adam, appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. Day-to-day living, here's the sort of cost that affects me, you watching at home, you listening. it's just unbelievable. We're going to go to York now, OK? Bishopsthorpe Road. It's on the verges of York city centre, and it was once crowned the best high street in Britain. But there is a new issue facing it, and that is
the cost of parking. It's increased by, wait for it, 500%.
And they've done that overnight without consultation, right?
Yeah.
So it now costs £4.85 an hour. Right, and what's that going to do? It's going to stop people visiting.
It's going to drive people away.
I mean, York. I mean, I was in York recently, and it's Anna Riley's there for us this morning on Bishopsthorpe Road. Anna, it's not easy to get around York, I have to say. You know, one road in, one road out type thing, congestion around the place. Yes, there's car parking spaces, but goodness me, I mean, this is obviously very, very controversial, and these are the sort of taxes, indirect taxes, that come on all of us. It's now going to cost us so much money just to get there, just to see there. Tell us more.
That's right, Eamonn, and the City of York Council have introduced this to try and reduce congestion, to try and get more people on buses, more people cycling to go shopping. But of course, that infrastructure hasn't been put in place. There's not been extra buses put on. There's not been extra bike racks for people to park. And certainly when you're doing a shop, a lot of the shops here are greengrocers, butchers. How are you going to carry all that on a bike? I'd like to introduce you to Karen now. She's just come to pay for parking, expecting that it was going to be 80p. How do you feel when you've just seen this price rise today?
I am really annoyed. I've come out with enough money to pay basically for 2 hours. I'm having my hair done, which then, knowing now that this is, say, triple what it would have been, then my online payment isn't working. So I'm effectively not able to pay, which is really, really, really annoying. And yeah, I'm not happy at all. So the fact that you're here this morning is pretty awesome, to be able to put this on camera. But I absolutely not happy.
Yeah. Well, there's been a petition, 8,000 signatures, that's been launched by the local businesses here to try and change this. The council say they've listened to it. They're going to try and look to put £3 per hour parking, but that's still a 265% increase being put in place. Would it put you off coming and shopping here?
Yes, it would. 100%, yeah. I mean, it just changes the whole dynamic, and I think, you know, I'm able to get in and out of my car, but say for people that are not as able and have got further to come, I think it's pushing people out of the city, and it's yeah, it's not good.
And how hard is it already when costs have gone up for then this parking to be an added charge now?
Very hard. I'm unemployed at the moment, which is no fault of my own, and I've had to retrain, and I am now setting up my own business again. So extra things like this just mean that A, it's been unprepared, but also it just adds up, and it then stops you from doing other things. And then, you know, for people that haven't got enough money to eat and to, you know, to look after their kids and things, I think it's disgusting, to be honest.
Thank you for speaking with us this morning, Karen. Really appreciate it. The council say that they are going to review these charges. They're going to look at them every 3, 6 and 9 months and start engaging with the local community to just see how fair these prices are.
OK, Anna Riley.
Where are you parked this morning, Anna?
We're parked here, £22.50 it's cost us to park for the day. Quite a lot of money. That'll
be your expenses turned down today. That'll be that. But
exactly.
Exactly. They'll not believe that. Yeah. Thanks, Anna. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Extortionate, isn't it?
But you know,
£22.50 for the day.
I sympathise with the council from the point of view that it is really hard to get around York. Really, really hard, and they need those deterrents, they need those things. But these are indirect taxes that the central government, they tax us, and then we're taxed again through parking and all sorts of ridiculous, stupid things, VAT, whatever. I just honestly, how anybody in this country has any money, you can have a decent job, you can earn a decent salary, and you'll still be stony broke.
But you just used the word deterrent, and that's what it will be. People won't go into city centres.
Yeah.
If it's going to cost them £22.50, they'll go to the out-of-town shopping centres.
That's exactly
what they'll do. And it will be the businesses in the cities that will suffer.
Unless, of course, you won our 54321 54,321 quid in our Great British giveaway. Don't believe me? Well, look at this.
We're kick-starting summer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
What about that? You don't even have to dream, you just have to enter.
Yeah.
Up next on the programme, we've got a famous name.
We do. Olympic cycling legend Chris Boardman. He's looking ahead to the Tour de France next month. Back in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers
have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Now, we've got Mr. Chris, Paul Coit back in the studio to give a big build-up to our next guest, celebrity Chris Boardman.
3-time stage winner
in
the Tour de France, Olympic track gold medalist, 2-time world champion. Morning, Chris.
Morning. You're going back a long way there.
Well, listen, you know what? With a CV like that, we're always going to mention it. I'm going to come on to that in a second. So, Bike Week, tell us what's Bike Week all about? Although that sounds like the most stupid question I've ever asked.
It might be pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, Bike Week is an opportunity for people to just remember it's a great way to get around, really, and just put to focus on something people might want to re-engage with.
And you're now turning your talents to e-bikes, aren't you?
Yeah, e-bikes have fascinated me for a while. Europe fell in love with them a long time ago. We've taken a while to catch up, but we're very much there now. And young people are more minded now to buy an e-bike than a car, so a huge chunk of them, which I think is a good thing. I mean, I was listening to your piece just now on the cost of travel and getting around. Well, this is a way to tackle some health. It tackles space on our roads, the ability to carry loads, and they're good fun. And also inclusive for older people as well as younger people. So it's, I think it's a trend that's good for us. It's a different transport mix, and it's definitely coming now. I think across Europe we've got a third of new bikes being bought are e-bikes.
Yeah, but Chris, the piece that you're referring to was parking in York and how difficult it is. But there has to be provision to get people out of their cars, onto buses, get their bums on saddles and whatever. You've got to have the facilities there. You've got to have proper parking, for instance, for bikes. What's your experience on a day-to-day basis of how you're catered for and looked after?
Well, after the pictures you took and the Olympic stuff I did for the last few years, I've actually been working in transport. So I now work for government with Active Travel England, looking at all of those things and making that provision. But previously, just before that, I worked for 5 years with Andy Burnham in Greater Manchester. So I was his transport commissioner. So I was listening to that piece with interest, because if you want people to do something else, then you've got to give them a viable, attractive choice. So it needs to be an integrated solution. So the ability to, I don't know, or the aspiration there was to tap on a bike or a scooter or a train or a tram and mix and match depending on what you were doing that day. So you need to do two things at the same time. I mean, I don't know the exact situation in York, but I imagine that most councils now are absolutely cleaned out. They've got nothing going into they were skint. Now I mean, if you've got to run vital services in your area, where's your money coming from? So those decisions for funding aren't always particularly well coordinated at the moment.
Chris, I want to take the chance to ask you about sport and about your career. You say it's going back a little while, but when you were a kid then, when you started out and you were cycling, did you dream of, was it winning Olympic gold? Was it about Tour de France? Did you have something that you look forward to thinking, this is what I want to do?
No. No. I mean, first of all, like most people, bikes is a way to just extend territory with your mates. It's how you play, and then it became my sport, and mostly a way to meet girls. And
you can't get very fast on a rally chopper, though, can you? To be honest with you, it just doesn't have the speed.
Most dangerous bike ever invented, the rally chopper. Put into a terminal speed bubble at 7 miles an hour.
Oh.
We all remember those days, those crashes with fondness.
But with fondness, so what stands out for you? Is it the Tour de France? Because I imagine as a cyclist, that's the ultimate, especially for a Brit, and when you did it back in the early 90s. You know, and we've seen Brits win it now, but to win stage wins, it's such a huge thing for any cyclist to do. What was it like? And you wore the yellow jersey as well, didn't you?
Mm. Yeah, it's the biggest annual sporting event in the world, actually, and it's a remarkable thing. It must have been thought up in a pub because, you know, why else? All around France, let's go over all the mountains. I mean, any event where you have to have a haircut in the middle has got to be wrong.
Yeah.
So, but it's the most incredible physical thing. I mean, it's about 8,000 calories a day, which is verging on impossible to beat.
But Chris, did you ever dream, like seriously, I'm not being facetious here, but did you ever think, Get me through all of this. Get me through all this to the day.
You can't enjoy it, can you? It can't be something you truly enjoy.
To the day that you could put your bottom on a saddle on an e-bike. I mean, yeah.
I think e-bikes are an incredible enabler. I mean, we've got a problem at the moment that we have a lot are being chipped so they can go faster. So as soon as they go over 15 miles an hour, they're not an e-bike, they're a motorbike.
Yeah.
That's causing us some grief. And I think we need to get on top of that. But the problem has been caused by their popularity. I think it's just they're such an enabler. And we're seeing an awful lot of delivery riders now. I mean, the gig economy is just exploding, isn't it? And so people need to be able to do more and more. They want to do more and more. And so it's pushing them towards changing things. But the e-bike itself is an amazing enabler for disabled people, elderly, young people are now, I mean, so many young people are now going, right, this is my alternative to a car. And that's got to be a good thing. So transport's changing dramatically.
One more very quick one. If you're out on a bike, does anybody see you? Do they always race against you? Do you always find as if people recognise you and think, OK, I'm going to have a pop at him?
I don't race against people. That's a mugs game, that, particularly when you're 56. But I live about a third of the year in the Cairngorms, and weirdly, that's where people say hello. But I think it's mostly because it's outdoorsy people and quite old. And so everyone says hello in Scotland.
Oh.
We all know who you are, Chris.
Good seeing you. Good talking to you. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it, Chris. Thank you.
Good to see you, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Now, Britain's Newsroom is coming up at 9:30. Andrew Pearce and Bev Turner are here to tell us all about it. Morning, you two.
Good morning, everybody. So Reform UK will be announcing their new chairman at 11 o'clock this morning. During our show, we will get to hear from him.
And we can name him, because we named him on GB News last night.
I think you named him, Andrew Pearce. Right? Let's not dress it up. You let the cat out of the bag.
I did. He's an experienced broadcaster. He's a former Brexit Party MEP, former Deputy Leader of Reform. He's called David Ball.
Not how you described him in the newspaper, though, is
No,
it?
I pointed out he had a very colourful, illustrious television career. He used to front a ghost programme about ghosts.
A lot to get through this morning. Don't go anywhere. Here's your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Thanks for being there for this latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of a role reversal today after a dull, dismal day across much of the north yesterday. Today's dry and bright with some sunshine. Further south, a fairly grey start. There's some rain and drizzle over the Midlands, parts of South Wales and southern England. That should tend to fizzle out through the morning, and skies will generally get a little brighter. Not completely dry across the north. A few showers over the Northern Isles, some coming into Aberdeenshire at times, but much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, much brighter than yesterday, with some good spells of sunshine. Temperatures getting up into the high teens. Might squeak into the low 20s across East Anglia in the southeast if we do get a bit of afternoon sunshine coming through here. Much of South Wales, southern England, though, will stay fairly cloudy through the day. That cloud breaking up a little bit more as we head into this evening time. But I'm hopeful the Midlands will cheer up through the afternoon. Certainly North Wales looking a lot brighter. And compared to yesterday, Northern England and Northern Ireland a lot cheerier, with temperatures, as I say, getting up into the high teens and staying that way into the evening rush hour. The odd shower getting into the far northeast at times, but I think they'll be few and far between by the time we get to this evening. At the same time, though, the cloud will be thickening across the Western Isles. Could see a little bit of drizzly rain getting in here through the night, but otherwise it's a largely dry night. Could start to turn a little misty in places, particularly around the south coast, and even inland some patches of mist and fog are possible. Temperatures holding up here in double figures, still dipping down to single figures over southern Scotland and northern England, where we have some clear skies. Now, for many, Wednesday's a warmer day, a fine day to come tomorrow for a good chunk of the country. Some mist and low cloud around the east coast. That could linger all day. Thicker cloud at times in western Scotland. The odd little bit of light rain is possible, but most places dry, and certainly a good chunk of England, Wales, southern Scotland, seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow. And look at the numbers. Temperatures creeping up. More heat and humidity building through the rest of the week as well.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A725 northbound, the Wraith interchange is restricted due to a broken down vehicle. Drivers should exercise caution. On the A55, maintenance closes the eastbound exit and